Hello and welcome to a limited TikTok. We will be limited for 15 people for about an hour, and then it will go up to 30 people for about an hour, and then we'll then hit the 50 mark, which is still a limit. Just throwing that out there so that TikTok, when I tell you that I've put it at the front of the video, you'll know that I'm right. Hello to Kerry. Hi, Kerry, and hello to anyone else that's just joining. Just started this live. We will see if we can break the dreaded 15 limit that they've now put me on. So if you get kicked off, do come back, because we would like to stuff it to the TikTok. And yes, TikTok, I did say that because it is getting a bit silly now. So hello, anyone that's just joining. I thought I'd just do a little live. In fact, someone's asked me to do a live, so that's the reason why I said I'd do one. So yes, just while I'm waiting for people to join, if anyone wants to come up today, just let me know, and they can come up. And we did let people up the last time, and it was interesting. Personally, it went a little bit long. An hour on the same point was a little bit too long. Personally, I'm the sort of person that likes to move things along and not, get stuck down. But the people that was chatting about it, I just sort of let them chat, so that's fine there. I am doing a video. Someone asked me. It was a bit weird. Charlie's right. There's no evidence for that Tiamat was a planet. Funny enough, I was just literally just about to say, someone asked me that about the firmament. So let me explain the firmament first. So he said there's no. This is what the person said, and he's a Patreon user. He said there's no tablet that says that there is that the firmament is the asteroid belt. So then he wrote underneath that, he said, unless you've got one. Hi, Nicole. So I then wrote back saying, basically what you've just said there is no. Remember this. You remember how I am. I'm very logical. So when someone says there is no tablet whatsoever to do with X, Y, Z, then at the bottom of the message he says, unless you've got one, then it's a contradiction. So I said that maybe you should watch my documentaries before calling me a liar, because what he's done is he said there's none, and then he's saying, have I got one? So I don't like that. I did point that out to him, and then he got upset because he said, don't be so rude. I'm the one that's being rude, but after he said to me there's no. It's like me saying to him, you've got no mum whatsoever, unless you tell me you've got one. I mean, how stupid. Anyway, so you know what I'm like. I'm very analytical like that. So anyway, so I said, okay, I'll do a video for him on the tablet. He's going, well, just tell me what tablet it is. So I said, no. I said, if you're a Patreon user, I'll do a video, and I'll also include part of my chapter in my latest book, which talks about the hammered bracelet as well in other tablets. So I'm doing that for him so he can get an idea of where the firmament and the asteroid belt is connected. Thank you, Garden of North. Hi there. So Charlie's wrote, there is no evidence Tiamat was a planet. I'm guessing you haven't read. First of all, read the Moorhen collections, translations. I'm guessing. And second of all, you clearly have no idea how the Anunnaki talk. I don't mean to sound rude, Charlie, but you have to know how they talk. So it's like that Star Trek episode where Picard is on the planet. I've already done this one before, but I'm just pointing out that just because you can't understand it, and I'm not being rude. I'm not. I'm just saying, just because you can't understand it doesn't mean it's not there. So the episode is called Dumark, I think it is, where Picard's on there, and the person. Thank you, Real Silver. and the alien that he's talking with talks in riddles. But it's not really riddles. Later on, you find out that it's not riddles. You find out that it's actually something else. So he would say, the alien would say, Jalad and Dumak on the ocean. And Picard's like, what the hell does that mean? But it's the way they spoke. And so what he was talking about was two heroes of an old story were on the ocean, and then he carries on with at Gladriel, their faces wet. Now, what does that mean? It means they were crying. So, what I'm trying to explain to you is what you read, if you don't understand the whole context of how the Anunnaki talk, then it's lost on you. And again, it sounds really rude. It's not meant to be. So when they're talking about Tiamat, for example, in the Enuma Elish, so we can forget the Moorhens for a moment. Let's move over to the Enuma Elish. So they're talking about Tiamat that gets smashed by 4 winds, which you must know because you must have done some research on it. Now, if you go to the Norse story, you find out that the frost giant got smashed by 4 worms. Obviously, the translations of probably 1,000 odd years after that story was originally done. And of course, if you know anything about the Norse stories, you'll know that it was mostly verbal as opposed to actually written down, unlike the Sumerian stories, which I'm guessing you must know that, Charlie. So when you start piecing it all together, so the frost giant was the same planet that got smashed. Then you look at that mainstream say Earth was smashed by another planet called Thea, but they can't find Thea. Crazy. So you realise, hang on a minute, that sounds like... Then you put the fact that Snowball Earth, when it was first here, suddenly, once it was here, suddenly melted. The snow melted suddenly. And it's not me, I don't make anything up. So when you realise that the snow melted rapidly, it must mean that from further away, Earth came to where it is now, because it probably wouldn't have formed in the first place here if it was to melt suddenly. So then you say, okay, well, maybe the Snowball Earth was the same frost giant that both got hit. And of course, the Enuma Elish is, if you know anything about Marduk, which I'm guessing you don't. Thank you, Gary. Again, not being rude, Charlie. So if you know anything about Marduk, you know that he spent 400,000 years trying to be somebody. And finally, when he was somebody, he changed things so that it would be him as everything. You do know that, don't you? So when I say that, that's not me saying it. Again, that is Irvin Finkel from... Feel free to go watch his lectures. You'll see him say that Marduk... And they've got the tablets in the museum, where Marduk changed absolutely everything. So instead of a sun god being Nana, it's now Marduk. The moon god Nana is now Marduk. The winter is now Marduk. The summer is Marduk. The rain is Marduk. You get where I'm going with this? You'll catch on in a sec. So when Marduk in the Enuma Elish is saying that he smashed into Tiamat, we know it wasn't him. And in fact, if you look at the Enuma Elish, which I'm sure you've done, Charlie, because you wouldn't just write something without doing the research, you do realise that the translator has actually put 2, depending which particular translation you read, but there is the word Nibiru in there. Now, in brackets, whoever it was 200 years ago didn't realise that there would be another planet. So they put Jupiter as in brackets by the word Tiamat, because they thought Tiamat was Jupiter. But of course, we know... Thank you, Master Nico. We know that the asteroid belt has the same material as us. We know that the waters above... There is water above. I mean, Ceres has got so much water on it, you have no idea. We know there's water above and below the asteroid belt. We know the Bible says it. We know the Enuma Elish says it. So I'll ask you again, Charlie. You said there's no evidence. That's just a tiny bit. I mean, feel free to buy one of my books or watch my amazing documentaries. So, are you saying that what I've just pointed out, which all collaborates with each other, including modern science, Bible, ancient texts, etc., are you saying there's still no evidence that Tiamat was a planet? Obviously, I haven't even gone into the details about Anshar and Kishar, etc. Thank you, Nicole. So, Charlie, do you want me to carry on? Just let me know, or are you going to concede and say, okay, sorry, I didn't realise there was that much evidence. I will never write something as a fact again until I chat with you, our true history. Sorry, it's only because you wrote there is no evidence, and clearly I've just pointed crap loads of evidence, absolutely humongous amount, and I haven't even finished. I've got whole chapters, I've got documentaries on it, and everything. So anyway, there we go. So I wasn't being rude. That's just the way I am. Scrolling down. Garden of the North has wrote hello. Hi, Garden of the North. Big hug to you today, Garden of the North. And I hope you're having a nice day. My nose is blocked, so I'm having to keep breathing. I tried to blow it, but it's blocked. Darwin's wrote, yeah, I thought you was out, Darwin. Not Darwin. No, you're not out, are you? You're sorry, I was getting confused with someone else that said that they was busy today. I apologise, Darwin. How are you? I hope you're well. Scrolling down. Real Silver's put thumbs up. This is live. I read every single question out. We are limited to 15 people. I said that. The very first thing I said was 15 people. Look at that. We're on 14. And I said right at the beginning that I'll be limited for about an hour at 15, and then it'll go up to 30, and then it'll go to 50. I mean, wow. Talk about screw me over, TikTok. Throw me under the bus, why don't you? Canucks wrote, did Nibiru have different ethnicities amongst the Anunnaki like we have here on Earth? So the color of their skin, I've done a whole video. I went through absolutely every single mention of skin color. So they're all, unless they're sunburnt, which is absolutely fine. 400,000 years in Africa and the Middle East, two of the hottest places, with pale skin, and they're not used to being. Yeah, so they were pale skin. So when you say different ethnicities, there's no mention that I've ever come across of anything to say that they were different in skin color. There is suggestions that they do have red hair and blonde hair. Some strong suggestions to that. Certainly blonde. We know they have blonde. Their children. The Book of Enoch literally tells us that Noah had blonde hair, and Lamech was shocked because obviously, and he was pale skin. So the answer to your question is there's no evidence that I've found that they are different species, different races, anything different other than what they are. That's not to say there isn't, but I've never found it. And I know there's people out there like David Icke or Billy Carson who says they're made up of different races. And I've wrote back on his freaking messages on his actual channel. Please show me the evidence of this. Do you know what he does on those videos? Because he pays people to actually do these videos for him, whereas I have to sit and do them all on my own. He pays people, and what they do is, instead of showing the differences between the ethnicities that he said that there is, or different races, he uses AI. They use AI images, which then suggests that they have no freaking clue what they're talking about by having to use an AI black Anunnaki and no. But we know what Billy's like, so he'll just go with whatever. Yeah. Charlie's wrote very tenuous links. They used the word planet. So did you? I'm guessing you didn't quite grasp the stuff that I was just talking about there. So I'm guessing you would like more information on that. So, do you want more information, or do you, when you say very tenuous links? Um, so mainstream. I don't. Wow. Okay. Try and be polite. So we've got a tablet that tells us that it broke up. A planet, well, Tiamat broke up. So what was Tiamat then to you, Charlie? We'll go with that version first. What was Tiamat? Now you could say it was nothing. It was just a made up whole story in the Norse, in the Greeks as well. By the way, they've got the same story. It was made up for a giggle. You could say that. But just well, no, let me see what your answer is, Charlie. What is Tiamat to you? Before I carry on, let's see what Charlie comes back with. It's a myth, I bet he'll say. Sorry, I don't mean to knock you down, Charlie. I'm just saying that's probably where you're going to go, I would imagine, because that's the only thing you can do. Scrolling down. Canucks wrote, like, did they have pale, dark, or red skin like we have here with those features? No, literally. I mean, honestly, I have done a whole documentary. I went through the Norse stories, the Greek stories, the Roman stories, the Babylon, the Hittite, the Assyrian, the you name it. I went through every single version of a god, even the Bible, even the Bible. Not once did they say anything other than pale skin. The only times they did was in Greece when it described the gods as sun kissed. Now, Greek I don't know what you would call them, Greek historians said that that means they were sunburnt, which makes a hell of a lot of sense because 400,000 years plus in the hottest coast. If they was in England, I would have said no, not happening, not sunburnt at all. But in Africa, the Middle East, and Greece, yeah, sunburnt. Uh, Charlie's wrote to Kerry. He says they were gods, which also no, they were deities. Charlie, it's okay. So what you've done now is if you're referring to me, I've said that they were called deities, which we translate to God. So this is where Charlie's errors has crept in there. Charlie, you've assumed that you know what I'm talking about, and obviously you hadn't done your homework. Again, not knocking you, Charlie, but if you're gonna, you have to have your A game with me. Again, sounds really rude, like I'm trying to belittle you. I'm not, but you do have to have your A game. And if you assume that I've said something and you get it wrong, I will have to point out that that's incorrect, which I've just done. So I've never called them gods. I've said they were deities, which we translate to gods. Real Silvers wrote, "Aren't we then AI? Maybe." I'm not sure where that's continuing on from. Aren't we then AI? I don't know. What's that in reference to? Sorry, Sir Real Silver. I'm trying to work out what that would be in reference to. So it sounds like something was said, and then you're saying, well, because of that, we could be AI, and I've obviously missed. It might be something that people were chatting about. So I apologise. I don't know what that's referring to. Kerry's pointed out to Charlie, do you understand that language changes and evolves? I'm guessing he doesn't. Again, not being rude, it just from what's been said isn't seem to be correct. Lucy Wheeler has wrote God. If you explain what, so you don't follow me, so I'm not quite sure what the word God is just singly referring to here in this context. I don't know if you're replying to someone else or just throwing the word out God because you want to, or so if you could let me know what you was referring to when you just wrote that one word, that'd be great. Charlie's wrote, "It's all right not to know what it is." So now Charlie's trying to knock me down by saying that I don't actually know what it is, even though I've given so much evidence already. And I've asked Charlie to say what he thought it was. So now Charlie's trying to turn it around on me. Charlie, you have to really get up early in the morning. So Charlie's trying to turn it around on me to make me look stupid. But I've asked Charlie what it was that he thinks it was. And then so we can now use that same sentence that Charlie had back at Charlie. So Charlie, it's all right not to know what it was. So I'm using it back on you because clearly we did ask you for, or I asked you what Tiamat was then. I even gave you some options by saying you could use it as a myth. But you've chose to try and belittle me, unfortunately, which didn't quite work because anyone listening will work out that one of us is right and the other ones didn't quite get the memo. Sorry, Charlie. It's coming across like you're trying to cause a problem, but oh well. Dave has wrote Nibiru's exact orbit is 3,600 years. Yes. So just to help Charlie out, Charlie, you do know what the King's List is, don't you? No. Oh well, maybe you should research before typing stuff and trying to make me look small, which is never going to happen. Ask any of my girlfriends, never going to happen. So the King's List actually has the dates, the times, the years in Shars, which is their year, their home planet year, for the first section of the King's List, and that's because back hundreds of thousands of years ago, humans weren't smart enough or given control. It wasn't till after the Great Flood, which even says in the tablets that after the deluge, or after the deluge, it's slightly different worded to that, but it basically says it on the same tablet. After the deluge, kingship was given to man, which then suggests that it's not man that had it previously. Which would have obviously been the Anunnaki. And so with them saying how long their reign was for kingship, so if you can actually break it down, and it's even translated in Earth years. So whoever translated the King's List knew that that was the Shahs were years, because there's one for 28,000 years or something like that. Forgive me, I don't have the thing in front of me. One was 28,000 years a reign, and it puts down how many Earth years that was. So clearly, even the translators got the idea that. Thank you, Jay. Even the translators of the King's List understood that that was a year for them. Not for us, because they put ours in brackets. It wasn't till you come down to after the Great Flood, which, according to the Moorhen translations, is when they said, we will now use Earth's time instead of their own time. So then they started the calendar from then. Obviously, different Anunnaki had different calendars depending on which area they went. So, for example, they started a new calendar when Thoth went over to Mesoamerica. But yes, sorry, Dave, going back to your point, yes, their year is approximately, I say approximately because we don't know whether it's 3,600 on the dot or whether it's 3,610 and they just rounded it off, or whether it was 3,690 and they just rounded it to 3,600, or whether or not, as Sitchin says, it got faster. Their orbits got speeded up. So which case, is it now 3,600 or is it now 3,500, 400? I don't know how fast, he didn't say, but he believes it does get faster. Samantha's wrote, good evening, Outer History and Mods. Hope you're well. Oh, thank you, Samantha. Hi, nice of you to join. Thank you. Canucks wrote, does that mean the Ajiji and the Anunnaki were the same as well as feature-wise? Yeah, they were. We've got carvings of them. So yeah, they all. I mean, we got tens of thousands of carvings of Anunnaki, demigods, and even humans back then. And there's probably Ijiji mixed in there that because they may not have wrote Ijiji, it may just have a name. Literally, may just have a name that no one's ever seen before. Because obviously, unless you was important, you didn't really get wrote about. That's why in the King's List, wait for it. In the King's List, mainstream says if they've not heard, this is the truth. If they've not heard of a name before of someone, therefore that's a myth. But Gilgamesh, who is says literally in the Epic of Gilgamesh that his mother was a god and his father was human. They're unsure whether he's a myth or not because there's a couple of tablets or quite a few tablets about Gilgamesh. They don't want to say he's real because obviously he was a king, but he was half of a god. So they're conflicted with Gilgamesh because they don't want him to be real because it will ruin their whole idea of the Anunnaki were real. So yeah, so there's probably carvings of Ajiji that we look at and we wouldn't even know, bat an eyelid, and think that they're just Anunnaki because they really all do look the same. And the Ajiji are just younger Anunnaki. That's what it is. They're like the teenagers. And they were offered to come to Earth, and they were heroes for doing so, for helping. So they actually gave up their life on Nibiru to come and work. That's why they were called heroes, and that's why it really winds me up when you come across numpties on TikTok that say the Ajiji, and not just TikTok, other stupid researchers that say, and I'm not going to name people's names, you can probably guess who they are, pretty much everyone else, that they say, oh, they were a slave race. Sometimes some people say they were created by the Ajiji. Sometimes they say they were stolen off another planet, the Ajiji. It literally tells us they were the suns. It tells us. Even I can point one tablet to you straight away where sorry, my boy's in the kitchen, where Enlil's they go to Enlil's door, and Nushku, the advisor of Enlil, says, why are you frightening your sons? It's not why are you frightening his slaves. And I have done a whole video on Ajiji. So yes, they look the same. Sadly, they really do look the same. So I guess if you look at from features point of view, I mean the carvings. Obviously, we can only go by the carvings. But if you look at the carvings, you wouldn't, if they weren't doing a pose or wearing a certain hat of theirs, you wouldn't know the difference between any of them. They'd all look the same. So, with that being said, look at, for example, chimpanzees. Would we spot the difference between a chimpanzee? Probably not. Not without really getting to know them. Apes? Probably not. So there's a lot of animals on this planet and insects that literally look identical to each other. The reason why we don't is because we bred with, or we was part Neanderthal. And then we got bred with by the Anunnaki. Then we had relationships with Neanderthal ourselves. And then we had relationships with Homo erectus, Juliensis, Florensis, etc., etc. So that's the reason why we're all different. But the Anunnaki, I have a feeling they didn't look hardly different at all to each other, personally. I think they're very, very similar, if we go by the things. I've heard Charlie's right. I've heard you say gods were the race name. Yeah, we translate. So if you're referring to the planets, So now obviously you're talking about the Anunnaki now. So the Anunnaki's race name is Dingir, which we translate to gods. So when you read translations, it says gods was their race name. Yeah, so it is in our language. So, no, Clark, no. Sorry, my boy's trying to be cheeky again.
Yeah, I know.
Right, that's enough.
Bye.
Yeah, so God's is their race name in our language, which you'll know in the Bible as well. You'll know in Greek, you'll know in pretty much all Indian, basically all the old gods where we translate it to gods is the same people, which is Dingir. But you can go back and find the original wording for Dingir, and what you'll find is whoever translates those tablets, you can find the old tablets that says Dingir all over the place. But when you read any translation of them, virtually no one has wrote Dingir. They write gods. So when I'm talking to you guys, I sometimes say God's their race name because it is not Gods, but it's what we translate from Dingir. Hopefully that makes sense. Charlie's wrote the Sumerians thought all celestial bodies were stars. They didn't have a word for planet. Charlie, this is going to not end well. The Sumerians. So, are you talking about the humans or the Anunnaki? So you've wrote Sumerians. So we're going to have to take that as face value. Thank you, Jay. So you wrote the Sumerians, meaning the actual individual people, all thought celestial bodies were stars. You can't say you thought that every single person thought that, because obviously you would need to go around and get a census off of everyone, or a form, but you won't be able to do that for me. Thank you, Chantel. So what you can say, Charlie, I'm trying to help you out here, trying to show you that logic wins all the time. What you can say is what you've read. So yeah, I have to be very careful what I say, Charlie, so that people don't think that I'm saying something different. The Sumerians. So what you're saying is what you've read about the Sumerian people thought all celestial bodies were stars. They didn't have a word for planet. Let me. I'm using the same phone. I was going to check something out there for you. But let's assume that you're correct. That then means that the Anunnaki never told Sumerians about planets, which is interesting because there is carvings of our solar system in Sumerian carvings. You can see the sun, and then you can see the planets around. Now you could say, well, that's not actually our sun and our planets. Then I'll say, well, how the hell? Who else is it then? And you could say, well, it's just a myth again, but obviously it's carved. So then we can say, well, it's probably it has the right amount of planets round on this symbol around the sun. So you could then say, well, maybe it's another galaxy, another solar system, and then I'll say, well, how the hell did Sumerians know that? So we do have carvings of planets. So when you say that they didn't have a word for planet, planet is a new word. Yes, it's not a word that would have been back then. Again, we translate words from what they would have had to whatever we use now. So again, Charlie, what you're referring to is the Sumerian people, not the Anunnaki gods that goes backwards and forwards from heaven. You do know heaven is space, don't you? I have a feeling, Charlie, you might be slightly religious. Be interested to know. And Kerry's pointed out exactly the same thing, but we have the word planet today. Yeah, I don't think Charlie understands that things get translated. Anyway, moving on. Samantha's wrote, after history, do you ever wonder what could be in other hidden tablets? Could they change the narrative? I do wonder what's in. That was a good question. Go number one in the class. I do wonder what's in other tablets that we're not shown. There's probably a lot more. I mean, we've got a tablet that literally tells us it's the priest for Marduk after he became main god, and he tells us that they back then they were creating hybrids, half this and half that creatures, the mythological creatures. He tells us that they were doing that. Um, but people don't seem to grasp that he's literally telling us that they created these creatures. We've got carvings of them as well prior to Greece. We've got them in Sumeria. So we've got we've got a carving of a centaur, we've got a carving of a hydra, we've got a carving of a griffin, we've got a carving of a minotaur, we've got a carving of a cyclops. So we've got all the ingredients that Greece has got, but predates Greece in Sumeria, and we've got a tablet that literally tells us, hey, this is what the gods were doing. They were creating a half this and a half man and a half horse and whatever else. But we're all calling it myth because we're numpties. We don't want to know that it's myth. It's real. Of course it's real. Of course it's real. I mean, we're here, so it has to be real because, we've got the fused chromosomes. We suddenly appeared. We suddenly had a Homo sapiens sapiens suddenly appear, which is also another missing link. And we've got the tablets telling us that they did breed with us, and they did create us. So I struggle how anyone can not see it, but maybe it's the religious or something. Scrolling down, Dave has wrote, "Thank you, Altruist. You're more than welcome, Dave. That's what I'm here for." Scrolling down, this is live. I read every single question out. Gunda Sonic has wrote, "Igigi were the working class of the Anunnaki." No, they're actually the sons of the Anunnaki. Again, if you're interested, just go to read the translation of the Atrahasis. Sorry, go read that, and that's just one. I have done a whole documentary. If you're interested, I have a website with thousands of documentaries on. We've managed to get to the 30 mark. I noticed. I think we got up to 40. So we're really trying to push past the limits here today. So that's good. So they weren't the working class at all. They were the younger ones. They were called heroes. Again, I go through all the translations of when they're talking about the heroes. There's another tablet where it says, Enki says, "Fetch me 50 Lakmu heroes." There's also another tablet that says the Lakmu creatures, which would be, in my opinion, horses, a different type of horse, long story. But Lakmu was Mars, so that's where the Igigi were. So no, they weren't the working class. They were the younger Anunnaki. They were the children of the Anunnaki. If you're interested, feel free to watch my documentaries. You go to my website, outruehistory.co.uk. Canucks wrote, "Can I put in a good word? Can you put in a good word for me that I'm looking for a good Anunnaki woman? Age doesn't matter." So she wanted to get it on with Gilgamesh, who was 16.5 foot. If she was small, she would probably think twice about getting it on with Gilgamesh. The carvings of her, there's a couple of carvings that would definitely know is definitely her. She's standing on lions, or standing with a pose, standing on a lion, which would come up to about her knee. So if we look at that and assume that that's correct sizing, I should, a mouth, yeah. And the other thing is, that she created brothels, and that there's tablets that tell us that she killed the humans that she spent the night with. So it would probably not be a good night. Certainly, I'd rather have someone my own size. Benjamin's wrote, "Enki equals Lucifer Satan." Oh, Benjamin, I hope you're still here. Enki equals... Oh, I love these people. Enki... Listen, guys, if you're still listening, you're going to love this in a second. This is going to be fun. So Benjamin's wrote Enki equals Lucifer Satan, Enlil equals Yahweh, the apple equals knowledge, and language taught to us by Enki. So Enki, let me just break this down for you. Let me see. Please don't be following me. You don't follow me. Thank God for that. That explains all the rubbish that you just said. So you've just contradicted yourself there. So Enki is Lucifer, but he taught us things. So he's not that bad, is he? Oh, yeah, that kind of makes sense now, doesn't it? Um, so you contradict yourself there. So forgive me for pointing out your complete errors. So you wrote Enki is Lucifer. Now I would ask you for the evidence of that. Now I'm the only person on this planet that's actually worked out with evidence who Lucifer was, and he wasn't Enki. The documentary comes out on December the 24th, and it actually you can't debunk it. It's spot on. No one else has come up even with close to the name that I've come up with, because they don't do the research. In order to know everything and learn everything, you have to learn everything. It sounds stupid, but that's the reason why people don't know as much as me, because I have to learn everything, and then I say, that actually fits with a different culture or a different thing. But if they're just in the Bible, if they're just Egyptologists or Syriologists or whatever, they don't know the rest of it. I had to learn Norse, I had to learn Greek, I'm still learning Indian. So unfortunately, I would ask you for the evidence. Are you still here? This is going to be fun. Benjamin, are you still here? If you are, could you let me know the evidence you have for Enki is Lucifer? When you realise you have none, honestly, follow me. You'll learn a lot. Then you wrote Enlil is Yahweh. Now I have done a documentary on showing who Yahweh really was. You'll find out that El at that point was Enlil. So around 3000 BC is when Yahweh first got mentioned, and that would have been Marduk changed from Bel, which I'm guessing you don't understand. Again, I feel so rude patronising people, but when someone comes on and basically says something as a fact, and I can just ask them for the evidence of it and they haven't got it, then I do feel like a little bit of patronisation is warranted. Wouldn't you agree, if someone comes on and just makes up crap? Then you wrote the apple equals knowledge. Yeah, not really. No, it was. So if you know anything about, which obviously you don't, if you know anything about the Anunnaki, so when Adapa went to Nibiru, so there is a tablet where Enki sends his son Adam. You'll know him as Adam, but his original name was Adapa. He sends him to Nibiru, but before he goes, he says, "Do not eat or drink anything from that planet." So basically, what it is there's something that he believes will be detrimental and probably kill. So it wasn't to do with knowledge; it was to do with eating something that may be bad for his demigod, his son. And obviously, it's food from theirs. And when you realise that the Adam and Eve were on a spaceship now, and that sounds stupid, go watch my amazing documentary, or actually bother doing any research, you'll find that they were on a spaceship for the first 24 years of their life. And on that spaceship was a garden, which is in orbit, which again backed up by quite a few tablets, including the Book of Enoch, that there was a spaceship, at least 6, if you go by orbiting craft, if you go by the Book of Enoch. Then when you say language was taught to us by Enki, so you've got that mixed up as well. So you're assuming that language was taught to us at Sumer, because that's where the first civilization came from. Now, Adapa was actually born about 100,000 years ago. That's when we first got the first Homo sapiens sapien. So they were taught language, because obviously if you read the tablets, then Enki's surprised that how smart Adapa is, which is Adam. And so they started to teach them. So there was teaching back then. Thank you, Nicole. But it was localized teaching by Enki to, wait for it, his son, and then Cain and Abel as well. And so the demigods and the lineage thereafter of the demigods were taught because they were smart, because they were the Homo sapiens sapiens. So when you say a language was taught to us by Enki, that particular language which, to be honest, probably was Sumerian. But if you're saying that as a whole that Enki taught us, no, it wasn't. It was actually Enlil actually had the so they divided territories into four. I'm guessing you know that because you've done a lot of research, haven't you, Benjamin? You haven't. You haven't done any. They divided the territories into four, again backed up by well, first of all, the tablets, and who was the gods in those areas, but also by the Greek stories as well. They also broke up the territories into four. They're all the same gods. So Enlil was the first person to actually have the territory, which was in Sumer or Sumerian, and he was the one that was teaching them. Enki had the second land. So when you say language was taught by us, by Enki, technically he did for his own children's and their children's children and so on, but not as a populace. Hopefully that helps, Benjamin. You'll see the difference between someone that makes up stuff, and I know obviously you did, or you've listened to other silly people that haven't got any evidence. I do come with evidence, and like I say, if you're interested in learning out who Lucifer was, and he wasn't Satan. Lucifer was not Satan. Two totally different people. But yeah, this is the difference, isn't it, between a little research or no research? And Chantel's put a waving hand. Hi, Chantel. Nice of you to join. Benjamin then wrote Enki and Enlil equal royal princes of the extraterrestrial Nibirian race. That is correct. Yes, they are princes. So you've got a little bit of snippet of information there that you actually got right. Well done. Jane has wrote, hi goddess Jane, nice of you to join. We broke the 15 limit, but we're at the 30 now. So this is exactly what I said at the beginning. I did say it'll take about an hour, but we managed to do it in about half hour to get to the 30 mark that we're limited on. So if you're wondering why there's only 30 people here when you're listening to someone that knows what they're talking about, it's because I'm limited, because I know what I'm talking about. And it does sound big-headed, but if you listen to me long enough, you'll see that they limit the hell out of me. And it's not because I'm rude or patronizing, probably, but it's because I tell the truth. Scrolling down, Chantal has wrote, how are we all? I'm okay, thank you. I hope everyone else is too. Hope everyone had a great Thanksgiving holiday. I hope no one wore a turkey on their head, if you know what I'm on about. Kerry wrote to, I was hoping Kerry would. Kerry wrote to Benjamin, how does Enki equal Satan? Let's see what we get a reply with. James wrote to Kerry, our guest box is open this evening. Yeah, if someone wants to come up. Because I was just trying to get down to the bottom here, because we had a couple of people that sort of questioned my knowledge. I felt it was important that I spent the time to reply. Benjamin wrote, he was labelled a serpent by Enlil, and after he taught Adam and Tiamat language and knowledge. Wow, Benjamin, could you show us where that's written? Oh, I don't know. It's not. It's not Benjamin. And Enki was the good one. You do realise that they called a serpent someone that they didn't like. Enlil and Enki, they would never have done that because they're the princes, as you just pointed out. So show us, Benjamin. Show us. Hopefully, Kerry's asked you for this tablet. It has to be a tablet, because if you say it's word of mouth, then I'll say. So, everybody, Benjamin's going to show us what the tablet's called, where supposedly Enki was labelled serpent by Enlil after he taught Adam, Mut, and Tiamat language and knowledge. So, unfortunately, what you've done there is you've mixed up Adamu and Tiamat. So, Tiamat was the name of a planet, but also the name of the first Homo sapien, which didn't get taught language. They couldn't. They grunted. That's the whole point of the tablet called the Tale of Adapa, when Enki then bred with the descendants of Adamu and Tiamat 200,000 years later, and was shocked that they actually had intelligence, the children had intelligence, because they were now a physical offspring between Enki and a Homo sapien, which gave us Homo sapiens sapiens. So again, Benjamin, unfortunately, you've got a little bit of knowledge which is dangerous, because you're making up absolute crap with that. So show me where it says that then. You must have tablet or something to show me. Hopefully Kerry's asked that. Benjamin then underneath wrote, later the Mayans would call him the serpent god. No, that was Thoth. You really have no idea what you're talking about, do you? And eventually lost in translation to Lucifer Satan. No, it wasn't. I can tell you exactly who Lucifer is. I don't want to do it now because the video's not out. But once the video's out, I'll point to it and you'll go and look. You won't bother because obviously you haven't done any research. You won't bother looking, but you'll still think that I'm talking crap because you can't be bothered to actually do proper research. Again, not being rude, Benjamin, I'm just cutting to the chase. You would probably do the same if you had knowledge of something and someone was just making up crap. You would go, come on, stop, enough now. So Benjamin's still going to show us this translation where Enlil called him a serpent. That still doesn't mean he's Lucifer. You do realize that just because someone, not that he was, but let's go along with your assumption. So you've now took that the word serpent now changes into Lucifer, just because you want it to. Oh dearie me. I love people like this. I do. This is why I do these lives. Kerry's wrote, who is Adamut? Yeah, it's Adamu. Kerry knows that. She's just questioning to see whether or not he's actually spelt it even correctly. Benjamin wrote back to Kerry, the first male Homo sapien hybrid, Lulu, they created 224,000 years ago. Well, it's actually 300,000 years ago, give or take. You're right with the first Homo sapiens. Well done for not putting Homo sapiens sapien. But because you know this, you then obviously got mixed up earlier because of Adam and Eve. So you're really getting things so mixed up. I'm here to help, honestly, if you want to learn. So we're still waiting for your evidence of where Enlil called him a serpent. I can't wait to see that. Scrolling down. Benjamin's wrote their name was Adamut and Tiamat, later dubbed Adam and Eve. No, that's incorrect, Benjamin. So Adam and Eve were the Homo sapiens sapiens. Wow, this is okay. So, ladies and gentlemen, I know I sound really rude, and that's why TikTok probably limits me because I do educate people. Unfortunately, Benjamin, that's incorrect. I've already pointed out the tablets where we find out that after breeding with the Homo sapiens, they were the two of them were called Dawn and Dusk. The females, Enki named them Dawn and Dusk. They actually had two children. One was a boy and one was a girl. The boy was called Adapa, and the female was called Tai or Titi. So you've got 200,000 years mixed up with other people, which is a common mistake, absolutely common mistake. I do have videos if you're interested in learning properly. Instead of what you'll have to do though, Benjamin, is you'll have to unlearn all the crap that you've got in your head at the moment. Seriously, because if you carry on with any of that kind of stuff, you're just going to confuse yourself even more. Where I've already pointed out so many times, where everything you wrote, I've already pointed out where your errors are, and you don't have any evidence to back up any of your errors anyway, which obviously we know. Benjamin's wrote, here we go. I read the classified files of the belongings to the space to our space secret space program. So I've read cosmic clearance classified documentation that said whatever anyone points out that Enki is Lucifer, tell them they're wrong. So what I'm doing there, Benjamin, is I'm just pointing out that it's quite easy for me to say that I've read something that's classified when really I'm just making up a load of crap by saying that, obviously. So your argument is that Enki was called Lucifer by, or called a serpent by Enlil, his half brother, in a document. I mean, obviously not even a tablet. In a modern document, classified files of this belonging to our secret space program. Now, I'm gonna have to call you out on that because so far you've got everything wrong. So the chances that the secret space files are right and everything that I've got, with an abundance of evidence on everything that I do. So it's either me and my evidence right, or you and your secret, they've allowed you to have cosmic clearance to read files particularly about, so you must have sat there and read a lot of files that's not been redacted. I know which, it's going to sound rude, I know which one I would go with. The guy that doesn't lie, which is me, or you that's made so many errors and contradicted yourself in your own words as well, by the way. You have. We've already pulled them up, where you've contradicted yourself. So I would probably go with me, personally. I don't know about anyone else, unless anyone else believes that this person on TikTok has read cosmic clearance documents to do with the space fleet, that's to do with our ancient past. It kind of doesn't seem like the space fleet would probably have that information about Enlil calling Enki a serpent, but anyway. Scrolling down. Alex has wrote, hello, how are you? Our true history. I'm not too bad, thank you. A little bit of a blocked nose, but other than that, not too bad. And I hope you're well as well, Alex. Benjamin's wrote, it's not a contradiction. Most know that Lucifer is dubbed the light bringer and all that. So, Benjamin, would you like me to, let me hang on. Okay, so would you like me to enlighten you a tiny bit? So he's actually the son of the morning star. Not the morning star himself. Think about that. Before, I'm only trying to help. I've been doing this 40 plus years, never been debunked, because I give evidence, and I've solved who Lucifer is with evidence, 100% evidence, guaranteed, as I have with the other things like who Kronos was, etc. Honestly, Benjamin, it sounds like you're interested. I'm trying to help. It sounds like you're really interested in this stuff. You've probably listened to Billy Carson or other people that made up crap, so it's probably not your fault. You've got the opportunity now to watch just one of my long documentaries and go, my God, this guy puts the effort in. Everything that he said, I can't debunk, because you won't, because with your evidence, you've got none of the stuff you said. You'll realise what evidence really is. You will actually probably end up being one of my great followers. Not because I want you to be a follower or anything like that. I'm just saying you seem like you're really interested in this, and you have the opportunity now to learn from someone that gets limited by every social media platform. I'm 30 at the moment. You probably heard me say that I'm limited to 30. I'm still at 30. I used to have hundreds. So it's up to you, Benjamin. I'm just throwing that out there if you're interested. Miles wrote, hey, what's the best way to prove how far the sun is primer? I wouldn't know the answer to that, I'm afraid. What's the best way to prove how far the sun is? I wouldn't know the answer to that, really, other than, getting in a ship. Now, I know you could say, well, we have lasers that can tell us how far the moon is by putting something on the moon, but the chances of us putting something on the sun is probably slim to none. So, that's unfortunately, that's out of my knowledge base of how to measure the distance. I'm sorry, I can't I can't answer that, I'm afraid. Benjamin's wrote, listen, mate, if you go to Sitchin's old videos, he's got a lot of stuff wrong and some right, most wrong. Yeah, I have pointed out where Sitchin's wrong, but I don't go by Sitchin. So again, you've assumed, Benjamin, that I use Sitchin's research. Oh, you don't use Sitchin's? No. Oh, can you prove that? Absolutely, Benjamin. Listen to me now, mate. Go to my website. You won't bother, because when you write mate, it means you're upset with me. Go to my website. You won't bother. OurTrueHistory.co.uk. Scroll down on the homepage to where it says click here in blue. You won't bother. That will take you to YouTube. That will take you to a video where I go through evidence not using Zecharia Sitchin, but it matches Zecharia Sitchin. So I don't use him at all, but I find the evidence myself. Oh, do you? Yes, I do. Oh, I'm sorry. Oh, right, I'm sorry now. Benjamin, you're going to write, I'm sorry now. Hopefully you'll write, I'm sorry now, because all I'm trying to do is help. Right, imagine this, Benjamin. Wherever you work, let's imagine you work. Wherever you work, you've been there for years. And I come along and say, no, that's not how you do it. And you say, but it is. And I say, no. And we have an argument or discussion, and I continuously tell you that you're wrong, even though you know that you're right. How's that going to make you feel after 40 years of you working at that same company, that I come along and say, no, wrong? You're going to think, this guy's a nutter. And then I come out with, look, Benjamin, I read in classified files that you're doing it wrong. Your job wrong. You'd think, this guy's talking crap. You see where I'm coming from? I'm just trying to turn it so you can understand how it would look if it was the other way around. So when you wrote, listen, mate, if you go on Sitchin's old videos, I don't go on Sitchin's old videos, unfortunately, Benjamin. So again, you've assumed something. I'm really trying to help you out here. But obviously you're probably not interested. You're happy to learn what you want, I guess. Benjamin's wrote, it wasn't until his latest work, Book of Enki, which basically mirrored the classified files. You'll find it's actually so the Lost Book of Enki isn't just from hidden stuff. The actual information is out there. There's about 70% of what's in Sitchin's book, which actually comes, a lot of the older stuff, the stuff that we can't find, comes from the Moorhen translations, which I'm guessing you don't know about either. Benjamin, it's such a shame. You could learn from, I guess it's probably an ego thing. If I say I'm an expert, which I am clearly, you probably don't like that. And I can understand that, male testosterone and all that, but I am the sort of person, you probably heard me a minute ago when someone asked me a question about the sun. I have a huge pair of shoes that I can then say, I don't know. And I did. As much as I have a huge ego, because I'm good at what I do, if I don't know something, I'll say I don't know. And there's many times that I say I don't know, and then I will actually go and learn. But the ball's in your court. I'm here for you if you're interested. Kerry's wrote he doesn't use Sitchin for everything. I don't use Sitchin at all. The only time I did use Sitchin was when I very first came across Sitchin. I'd already heard about the planet from the 80s, and I didn't even know about Sitchin. It wasn't until I come across a video of Sitchin's where he was doing a lecture, and he says the names of the things that I was already aware of. I didn't know the names of them. Well, I didn't have internet. I've been doing this since I was 6. So I didn't have names for everything. So the only time I actually took on board what Sitchin said was the names. And then, as you can clearly see, I can do my own homework on those names. So yeah, I don't use Sitchin. I may reference Sitchin but I generally reference the Moorhens more than I do Sitchin. Scrolling down. We're still waiting for your evidence, by the way. Oh no, it was classified, wasn't it? Benjamin's wrote classified files for MJ12 group using technology called Yellow Book, allowing them to view. So what you've done here, Benjamin, is you've tried to be a little bit smart, which I appreciate that. I like smart people, but not against me, because it doesn't. Unfortunately, I know exactly what you're referring to. So when you say it's classified files for the MJ12, what you're saying is that MJ12 has allowed this information out there. Now, when you say using technology called Yellow Book, when you say using a technology called Yellow Book, that means that you do know that the Yellow Book was a history of our planet. That was come from the Zetas. That was a gift when they did the exchange program for Project Serpo. Benjamin's thinking, crap, this guy really does know his stuff. I do, Benjamin. I really do. So when you're saying that the Zetas gave information about the Anunnaki, and that one word in that was Enki saying that Enlil was saying that Enki was a serpent. I'm going to have to pull you up again and say, look, please stop making up crap. Please, it's embarrassing. But you can learn from someone that has got the evidence and the knowledge. Again, I am limited to 30 people. You can see that because I'm good at what I do and they don't like it. Benjamin's wrote past events like the fly on the wall. No, not everything. Not. So you've been given MJ12 documents, and it's either just one page that you was given, and it just happens to be Enki being called a serpent by Enlil, which I don't think he would ever have done. If anything, it would be the other way around. So you was either given one page, and that's what you're now trying to quote, or you've gone through so much information, which is obviously all incorrect because I've got evidence, and I've asked you for evidence, and all you can do is point me to this Yellow Book, which isn't even. Yeah. So unfortunately, Benjamin, you've come across someone that knows what they're talking about. Benjamin's wrote, ETE Zetas gave us the tech in 1964, which I've already said, to do with Project Serpo. So Benjamin's trying to blind us with science. For those people that, thank you, History and Coins, for those people that have no idea what he's talking about, it would sound like he's being correct. Unfortunately, everything he said, other than, I'll give you one or two bits about the princes, and the Zetas gave us the project, Yellow Book. So there's only two things I can give you credit for at the moment, Benjamin, unfortunately. Benjamin's wrote, Book of Enki is basically 100% correct. Now, thank you, History and Coins. To my understanding, he got leaked knowledge from the files. Now, unfortunately, Benjamin, I'm going to have to call you out again, because earlier you said that Zachariah Sitchin, listen, mate, Zachariah Sitchin, this is what you wrote. Let me go back. Now you're saying it's 100% correct. Listen, mate, if you go to Sitchin's videos, he got a lot of stuff wrong and some right, most wrong. Then you changed it by saying it wasn't until his latest work, Book of Enki, which basically mirrored the classified files. So you're saying that anything else, other books, older books, was mostly wrong, even though he's used that information to help create the Lost Book of Enki book. Oh, Benjamin, it's easier if you just give up now. I don't want to keep doing this to you. So let's go back. So Benjamin wrote, Book of Enki, it was technically called Lost Book of Enki. Lost Book of Enki is basically 100% correct. When you say basically, it's either it is or isn't 100%. So I'm going to help you out. Book of Enki is approximately 100% correct. It's, to my understanding, he got leaked info from the files. Well, no, because if you watch my documentary that I just pointed to, which you won't bother, I actually use tablets that's nothing to do with MJ12 or the Yellow Book, or you supposedly having knowledge. I actually do find the information myself. So that's not classified. And again, this is what I'm trying to point out to you. Oh dear. Kerry picked up on that. You're contradicting the Lost Book of Enki. Benjamin's wrote again, I'm just sharing what it says in the classified files that you are not allowed to know about. So, was you not worried? First of all, obviously, none of what you said is correct. We've got evidence to prove, lots of evidence to prove most of this, other than the princes and the Yellow Book. Everything else you've said is completely wrong. But do you not worry that you was given information to this document that says that the Lost Book of Enki is 100% correct, but there must have been more in it. So you must have read. I mean, Lost Book of Enki is what, a good 4-hour read, and there must be more in there that you've read, because obviously, if you're saying that Enlil called Enki a serpent, which isn't in the Lost Book of Enki, so they must have given you everything, Benjamin, and you're now coming on here telling us that TikTok limits me for a reason. They listen to me. They listen to me, Benjamin, because I'm telling the truth. And now you're coming on here with your picture of you telling us that you have access to, or at least had access to, the most cosmic clearance documents ever on this planet that people disappear for. And you're coming on telling me that you've read so much information that's out there. I'll let the viewers figure out which one of us, thank you, History and Coins, might be more correct than the other one. I without sounding rude, and this is all respect to you, I think that's baloney, personally. But that's just my opinion. Benjamin's wrote a whistleblower. So the whistleblower gave you at least 4 hours worth of documents to read through. Or are you now saying that he told you, in which case he would have had to have told you verbatim 4 hours plus of information, and one of those bits would have been Enlil called Enki a serpent? I doubt it. Kerry's asked, how would you be so important that a whistleblower would give you files? Benjamin's wrote, I know I said a few things wrong. I went over my notes and saw this. It's up to you, Benjamin. I was really trying to help because I thought you was interested in this, but I'm guessing maybe I'm wrong. Maybe Benjamin's wrote cosmic clearance, majestic eyes only, top secret code. Yes, I know. I've already said that about 10 times. So I think what it is, Benjamin, and this is no disrespect, I think you've probably got bits of information from everywhere. Billy Carson, other bad researchers, TikTok people pretending
someone has sent you
TikTok people pretending they're Palladians and all this kind of crap, and you've collated that all in your own little head. And again, not being rude, and you've come out with this version of what you think is the correct version, with no evidence whatsoever. And I'm offering you evidence. It's contradictory to what you've said, but I'm offering it to you, Benjamin, on a plate. Sorry, Kerry's asking questions. I'm sorry, I'm just reading Kerry's questions here. Benjamin's wrote, just happened to be one of many that saw the information dump. Well, then that's fake information, unfortunately. So if someone's copied Zachariah Sitchin's work or the Moorhens and added crap in there on top, sorry, you've been had. That's basically it. Sorry. That's so we've got to the crux of it. It's you've unfortunately been fed some crap. You've got no evidence to back up anything that's in that crap that you've been fed. I'm offering you evidence. It's up to you if you take it or not. Kerry's wrote the same thing, and you just believed random files. And then Kerry's wrote, I mean, Reddit isn't always the best source. Benjamin's wrote, it's a complicated situation because I messed up my order if sharing the info. Messed up in order if sharing the info. Well, unfortunately, what you have wrote is easily debunkable, and have done, and I've got the videos as well to back that up. Benjamin's right. I went over the notes and saw I said stuff wrong. No worries. Glad you're prepared to learn. If you're interested, feel free to go to my website, outrohistory.co.uk. I'll be here for you, Benjamin. It honestly sounds like you are interested. Scrolling down. People were now asking Benjamin, how did you verify that documentation was correct? Benjamin's right. After 50, 60 Adamus were made, they created a female. No, unfortunately, we have a tablet. Feel free to look this up, Benjamin, called Enki and Nimna. It's a tablet called Enki and Ninma. You can look that up, and you look up the translations of it. You can find it on Oxford University's website as well, the translations. And you'll see they fouled 6 times. And it wasn't all men. They had a eunuch there. That's where we get the word eunuch from. And they had a female as well. And the others were men, boys, babies, that all came out with deformities. And then finally, on the 7th one, we had, as you know, Adamu, who was red as clay. And then after that, they then created the female companion, which was called, and you wrote with Enlil's protest. No, that's incorrect. Enlil wanted it, otherwise it wouldn't have happened. Feel free to go to the Artrahasis, and you'll see that it was with Enlil's permission. Wow, you really got everything wrong. I'm so sorry for you. Benjamin's wrote that female was called Tiamat. That's correct, but it's not Eve. So, like I say, you've got a little bit of knowledge, but it's just completely messed up. So, Angel's right. Hi, Outer History. Hi, Angel. Nice of you to join. We do have angels after all. They are real. Hi, Angel. Nicole's right. Outer History. Does the Vatican have communications with the Anunnaki? Oh, someone's been doing their homework. Someone's been thinking. You're going to end up the next Andy at this rate, or Chinology, or Brian. You keep doing these questions. That was a good question. So obviously I haven't got the evidence for it that they are in communication with them, but from my research, I do believe the Anunnaki or Marduk got the Vatican built. Latin would have been a language that he would have created personally, I think, so that his people there would be able to deal with him. I'm just throwing that out there. Again, no proof of that, but that makes sense because obviously Latin is on the dollar bill, and so is Marduk's symbols and everything else. So, would the Vatican still be in communication with? Yeah, I would say someone is. I mean, you've got to remember a lot of Marduk's past is in those museums and in the hidden vault and under the underground storages that goes on for miles and miles and miles. So this is part of Marduk's history. I have a feeling, and obviously the Pope has his job to do. So, and again, there was no Pope that was actually inside the Vatican after it was first built. The first Pope came along way, way later on to actually live in the Vatican area. So, my gut feeling is someone, not necessarily individual popes, because I think around the world you have the mouthpieces, the prime ministers, the presidents, the popes, the leaders, but it's behind them is the people that control those people, and the people behind them are probably the ones that, possibly in a line of succession, communicate with the Anunnaki. So I think, yes, not directly to the Pope, for example, but through people that are behind I mean, I don't know if you guys ever saw President Reagan. He was up on a balcony years and years ago as the president, and he was talking to people down below or something like that. I can't remember what it was, but one of the people in the background wasn't a security guard, whispered something in his ear, and President Reagan, did exactly what this person said. So, and even Joe Biden had people telling him what to do in his ear. So I think there's people behind the Vatican that deal with the Anunnaki, but not necessarily the front-facing people. So it's a good question. Go number one in the class for that. I like that question. 564 wrote Yahweh is Enlil. I bet you don't follow me. Oh, you follow me. Please don't say stuff like that. So could you show me the evidence that Yahweh is Enlil, please? And then I'll show you the evidence that Marduk was Yahweh. And I've got the evidence already done, so one of us is probably going to come out better than the other. You follow me, you know not to write something like that without evidence, and you know you don't have evidence. Why? What's wrong with people? So yeah, 564, if you wouldn't mind showing me your evidence. I've already got the evidence out there. So once you tell me yours, I'll tell you mine. Kerry wrote to 564, Yahweh's Marduk. Scrolling down, which is correct. You'll all find out who Lucifer is as well. Samantha's right. I'm heading off now to read your brilliant book. I'm losing my patience here. Thank you, Samantha. So Samantha's, bless her, has got, I don't know if she's got book 1 and book 2, but I just recently finished 2 books, and Samantha's got copies of them, and in those books, there's an abundance of evidence of everything. So thank you, Samantha. I'm sorry that you struggled here tonight. I know. Samantha's right. May you have a good evening, our Tree Stream mods. Oh, bless you. Thank you very much. We will be limited still to 30, as you can see, but we'll try our best. Thank you. Jason has wrote, I just read hundreds of stories. They say the Anunnaki were given rule for certain time. I just read hundreds of stories. They say the Anunnaki were given rule for a certain time. I'm guessing what you're saying there is that someone gave the Anunnaki a time period to be in charge. The only thing I can think of that, obviously, when they first come here, there was no one else here. They did what they wanted. So the only thing I can think what you're saying is that more modern aliens, more advanced aliens, the Greys or tall whites, etc., have said to the Anunnaki, right, you can have Earth until such and such a time. I'm guessing that's what you're referring to, because there's no way anyone else would have told the Anunnaki back then how long they could rule for, because they didn't even know that they were going to create humans when they first come here. So I'm guessing that's what you're saying. The thing is with that, I've not heard that personally, so I'm not saying it's not true. I would like some credibility behind those. I know you read. I'm not knocking you, Jason. You know I wouldn't do that. I'm just reading it again. I just read hundreds of stories. So the hundreds would have probably come from, I guess, one source. But you've read it multiple times as opposed to hundreds of different versions of the same story. But yeah, and unless you get a absolutely credible whistleblower, I wouldn't pay any attention to it. And even if it's true, there's nothing we can do about it either. But yeah, so yeah, always go back to the source. That's the easiest thing to do. Sean has wrote, what is a true history? Are we talking the last 500 years? So my research goes back to technically 4.6 billion years ago, where I show tablets where the Anunnaki were here in that point. It was only 1 million years ago for them, where they were on their planet when it entered our solar system, and they saw the waters mingle, which is what the Bible says, and planets were forming, and their planet accidentally smashed into another planet, which broke. So my history sort of goes back that far, but then obviously from that point to 445,000 years ago, when Alula arrived here on Earth from that planet, then that's when the rest of my history. So there's a gap, obviously, of billions of years where things evolved and whatnot, but there's nothing, no sort of written history that I can refer to from that period. Jason's wrote the question. History's wrote time check 8 p.m. Oh, right, okay, I'm catching up. Thank you, History and Coins. I hope you're well. That's okay. No, Benjamin's right. Nimna recruited 7 females, Nibirians, to carry 7 Adamos. That's correct. They did. When you say Nimna, we can't be 100% that Nimna went round and actually got all of those, because you're going by Sitchin's version as opposed to the Moorhen's version. But yes, they did have 7 more females. They're called the mother goddesses. There's a name for them in India, for the 7 female mothers, but let's say we're put up high on a pedestal for doing that. But unfortunately, I can't remember the Indian name that they use. So, well, see what I mean, Benjamin? You have a little bit of knowledge. That's correct. You've actually got that correct. But the other stuff you come out with. So hopefully by now you and me we're all on a good wavelength here. We're saying okay, it's all good to learn. Benjamin wrote they took the 23rd chromosome from Enlil, the life essence gene. No, unfortunately, if you go with the Moorhen translations, and there's a tablet. It's long numbers, but I've got it in my book, which is beside me. So if you're interested, I can read out the tablet number. They took the in order for Adamo and Tiamat to breed, and Ingazida took the. See, this is why Sitchin. You shouldn't read Sitchins. You should go back to the Moorhens, which is frustrating. Or watch my videos where I show other sources of information and evidence. But they took it from Enki, not Enlil. But if that was for the rib, that was to make them breed. But if you're going with then they took the 23rd chromosome from Enlil, the life essence gene. No, they actually killed a Anunnaki. They slain him. Feel free to look that up, which I don't think you'll bother. So unfortunately, you're wrong again on that. And so I would ask you for the evidence that they took it from Enlil, and you won't be able to give me any. Benjamin, the reason why I'm coming across quite hard is because we have people like yourself that come on, make up stuff, get things wrong, and they continue. What they do is they continue. They'll keep writing stuff. They'll try and remember snippets of information that they have in their head. This happens a lot. So it's nothing personal. There's people like yourself that's done this. So where they've been caught out, which everyone gets caught out by me, where they get caught out later on, instead of them continuing arguing on their point because they know they have no evidence and they know they got caught out, they'll just continuously blurt out tiny bits of information that they know is correct, or at least believe is correct, but is different from the subjects they were talking about earlier on. And you've now fell into that trap of, so as I carry on reading, you'll probably add another thing separate from this chromosome. You'll add something else that you think is correct, and that I'll then go, oh, well done, you actually know something. So that's what you're doing. Sorry, thank you, Amy C. That is what you're doing. We've come across so many people like that, where they just keep putting stuff in, thinking that they're gonna, hit right one or two that might be right, and therefore feel vindicated that well, he said I'm right. Thank you, UFO Annie. So instead of keep typing stuff, thank you, UFO Annie. Instead of typing stuff, why not ask questions? You can see I'm clearly limited to 30 people. Thank you, UFO Annie. You don't have to. And then you wrote bone marrow rib. So it's sorry underneath that. So you're going back. So again, it wasn't, and it was Enki. There is a tablet. You can go. Let me. Do you want me to read it out? I've got the book here. I can't remember which book it is, book 1 or book 2. I can read out the tablet number. You can go look it up. So, unfortunately, that's incorrect again with Enlil. So, I can see why Samantha said this is frustrating. It is. Benjamin, please. This is very frustrating. And even Kerry's wrote no, and History and Coins wrote exactly what I was thinking to Kerry. Benjamin's wrote, I want him to validate what I say. You all need to chill. Oh well, thank you. If that's the case, then that's no problem at all. If that's what you want me to do, no, it was Enki that had the. Well, in fact, it was the Moorhen translation said it was Enki. They took something from Enki and Nimna's rib, but the tablet that I found just talks about Enki's rib. So that's not to say that it wasn't also Nimna's rib, but it was certainly Enki's rib, and he was in pain actually after that happened, and he asked Nimna to help for painkillers. Darwin's wrote, "Geez, Benjamin, give up, will you?" Oh. I think now I know Benjamin's asking for validation. Then it kind of makes sense now. I won't be so harsh. Angels put laughing faces with some angel faces as well. Benjamin's wrote, like a researcher, I'm interested in hearing what's wrong or not. No worries. Thank you for letting me know that. I didn't know that that's what we assumed that, but obviously because you didn't say anything different, you kept telling us what we thought you thought was facts, but now you're saying that you're happy to learn. That's great. Well done. XL Beats has wrote, was Tiamat a planet, Anunnaki, or sea dragon? It's a good question. I can see why you asked that. Go number 2 in the class for that. So Tiamat was a planet. It was, the Norse called it a frost giant. It was huge. It was the first planet that was formed after the sun was here, and Mamu, which I'm not 100% sure what Mamu is. It may be the waters, another name for the waters. I'll be honest, I don't know what it is. It could be a black hole. It could be, I don't know. It could be another sun, because there may have been 2 suns. Most star systems are binary, so it could be another sun that died out. So Mamu could be that. But anyway, Tiamat was definitely the first planet. And then it gave, if according to as I say, when you know how the Anunnaki talk, they called any celestial object alive, and they gave it a personality, gave it a name, da da da. So Tiamat was the first planet, and then it gave birth to Kishar and Enshar, Ansar, Kishar and Ansar, which was Venus, Venus and Mars. And then other planets formed because the waters mingled, which is what it says in the Bible, which is what it says in the Enuma Elish, which is also now what mainstream also say, how planets are formed because of the water. So Tiamat was a frost giant. It was a water planet. And when it got smashed up, the water stayed where it was, or majority of the water stayed where it was. Obviously, water on Earth. Earth was part of Tiamat that got broken up. The other part became the asteroid belt, which is why there's water above and below the firmament, which is where people go, oh, the firmament's an invisible dome, and if there's water, if they crack through it, the water's going to... No, it's not. It's the asteroid belt. So the reason why they would have called it possibly a sea dragon is because when you look at the word dragon, it was originally used for a comet, so it was a head and a long tail. So it's totally possible they may have called it a sea dragon, or someone may have translated it down the line as a sea dragon, but obviously it wasn't a comet. But that they did name them things like dragons and leopards and vipers and stuff like that, the celestial objects. So Asteroids was an asteroid was a leopard. Vipers was a collection of asteroids and so on. A demon was a meteorite when it entered an Earth's atmosphere. So yes, it was a planet. Yeah. Scrolling down, Benjamin wrote, "Wasn't Marduk the king while Enlil and Enki were the princes?" So no. Well, Marduk was the king of Babylon, if you're going back that far, but it wasn't till 3000 BC that Enlil, which was El at the time over in Israel, finally allowed Marduk to take over and have the rank of 50. In fact, that's actually at the bottom of the Enumerated tablets in the British Museum, so you can actually even read that part. So Marduk was king. He was banished at one point. You probably know all that side of it. He was banished. That was banished from Kem, which was Egypt, and his brother took over. Ningazida, and then when he got unbanished, he went back and he had an argument with his brother, and da 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 da. So yes, he was king, but not king of everything. There was only one king of everyone, and that was Enlil, and he was called. And you can just type in on AI or Oxford University translations, King of Kings, and you'll see that Enlil was called the King of Kings. But most kings, and we've got most of the kings are on the kings list. Now there's actually a couple of different kings lists as well, but Marduk was obviously the pharaoh as well over in Egypt, or the main god Ra in Egypt. So technically, he wasn't really a king as such; he was still a god. Benjamin's wrote, nope, that was wrong, my bad. No worries at all, Benjamin. No worries. That's cool. Nicole's wrote, do you think Bigfoot has learned our language depending where they live after being here all this, I'm guessing all this time? Nicole, that's a very intelligent question. Crap. You are becoming a learned person. It's a really good question. Really clever question. Really clever question. So, unfortunately, you're already in number one. So, or unless someone else is, but so now I'm afraid I'm putting you in number one, which means you're probably in number two for the other question. But it's a good question. So, Bigfoots have been around for a long time. If we go back with the Native American stories, if forgetting the story about them crashing their ship, etc. Ancient Chinese even talked about. I mean, that's the oldest story I can find is from the ancient Chinese of Bigfoot. That's not to say there isn't older stories, because obviously, if no one writes them down, then the story just dies. But there is ancient stories from China of big hairy man. Assuming it's the same Bigfoot. And obviously you got the Yowies as well. So they have been around a long time. Now, obviously, languages have changed over the years. So we assume, oh, well, they're in America, so they'll probably learn American. But obviously, way back, you had the Mesoamericans, which didn't speak the American language. So would they have learned one language and it eventually gets pushed out and now they don't know the new language? It's totally possible. Let's assume that they are intelligent, which I personally think they are, highly intelligent. Would they have the ability to learn? Now, supposedly they do mind speak. So many people have said that they've heard Bigfoot talk to them telepathically. Now, either they're mistaken or it's true. So if they're talking to them telepathically, then they understand the language enough to be able to communicate in context, because some words can, depending which language you've got, some words can mean many different things and so on. So if we assume that telepathy is based on dialect as opposed to images, then they would probably need to learn the language, I would guess. I'm not an expert on, no one is, on telepathy. So we know that the little greys do mind speak as well, telepathy. And regardless of what country you're in, you hear the language in whatever country you're in. So if you speak French, you'll hear a little grey talking to you in French. Now, is that because the greys learn French so that when they kidnap you, they can talk to you in French? By the way, I'm limited to 30 people. If you're wondering why we're stuck at 30, they limit me because I'm damn good at what I do. Or is it some way that our brain translates what's being fed to us into our own language? That is really the question, because if we can break that down, then we'll know whether or not Bigfoot has the ability to learn our language or not learn our language, and doesn't need to learn our language for us in order for our brain to interpret whatever the communication signal is coming from Bigfoot. Now, vocal cords, personally, I don't think they would. If you've ever heard a Bigfoot, and please don't ask me to do the Bigfoot voice, if you've ever heard a Bigfoot voice, they are so deep and high pitched at the same time, ridiculously. Linguistics have tried to try and find out what animal it could have been, and so on and so on. So, from that perspective, I don't think they'll be able to talk our language, or if they did even learn our language, to be able to vocabulary and speak it in our, because they won't understand a lot of the things. They may understand what a car is, but they may not know what a television is. They may not know what space is in our word space, and so on. So it's a good question. Gut feeling, because I can't answer it because obviously I would need to know all those parameters. Gut feeling, I don't think they've learned our language. I personally think that there's many stories of feral women that were children that was kidnapped by the Bigfoot, and then they live with the Bigfoot because they force them to. And they grunt and make these weird sounds, these kids that have now grown up to be adults, as opposed to being taught English or whatever language they're in. So my gut feeling is that they, if they do use telepathy, I think our brains interpret the words somehow. So I don't know how, but that's my gut feeling. I can't imagine all the Bigfoot sitting down going, right, well, I've learnt this word today. Now I'm going to teach it to you lot, the other Bigfoots, and say, right, okay, this means, genius, or this means car, or this means... I can't see it personally, so I would assume that they didn't learn our language, but because of mind speak, they can read our thoughts, or... So there's stories out there of Bigfoot where people that's been out without a gun actually can see a Bigfoot, but the people with guns, so in other words, it knows whether you've got a gun, not even if it's hidden underneath your clothes. It knows your intent, which suggests that it can do mind speak. So the ones that don't have a gun and don't seem to be hostile, they don't mind people seeing them, but the ones that's got a gun, they avoid. So it's a good question. All I can say is I think it's our brain interprets the signals, whatever those signals are, into what we understand. It's a really good question. Kerry's wrote Sapamato are the seven mothers. There we go. Thank you. Yes, that's right. Yeah. Is that? Yes, it is. Yeah, that's why. That's why I had no hope of trying to pronounce it or even remember what it was. Yeah, the seven mothers. Yeah, in India. Yeah, they are the same seven mothers. Yeah, that's why I'd love to chat with Praveen Mohan. I don't think he'll ever want to do it because I've kind of debunked all the people that he's chatted to. Thank you, Garden of the North. I have done videos debunking, Graham Hancock and all the people that he may have now spoken with. So I'll probably be the black sheep of the family, and I am limited to 30 people here on live, which I've proved. So yeah. But well done, Kerry. Yeah, gold star for looking up the information there. Well done. Amy C's put tap. It won't. Nothing will happen. We'll still be limited on 30 because they don't like the truth out there. Thank you for offering to tell people to tap, but nothing's going to happen. We've been doing this over an hour and a half, and nothing's going to happen, unfortunately. Benjamin's wrote, "You're right. I came in here way too unprepared without even going properly through my notes. I apologise." No worries at all, Benjamin. Thank you very much for saying that, and I apologise if I've come across harsh in any shape or form. I do these lives fairly regularly, and we do get a lot of people. If you ever join in another live, you'll see that people, you'll see, and you'll be going to yourself, "Oh man, this person's making up crap." So I'm not saying you did. I'm just saying, even though I kind of did earlier, but I'm just saying we do get them. So we sort of not attack, but we make sure that we're right because we have the evidence, and if they've got evidence, then we're happy to learn. But we know no one's ever not. I've been doing these lives for 3-4 years. I've been doing research for 40 odd years. No one ever comes back with any evidence. That whatever they say, as soon as we ask for any evidence of something, because we know what we've got, they never come back with it. So that's the reason why we kind of go after them, because we just want the truth out there, really. But anyway, you feel free to honestly visit my website. The best thing to do is go to my website. You can click my profile, scroll down to where it says click here in blue. Watch that one first, and you'll see how thorough I am. I go through everything. I go through the amount of words that's on a tablet. I go through everything. And you'll see that I don't use Zachariah Sitchin. And once you've done that, go back to my website. Thousands of documentaries. So yeah, you'll hopefully you'll find stuff there you'll enjoy. The one that's on where it says click here will take you to YouTube, so you can sit and watch that. Thank you, Nicole. Bless you, Nicole. UFO Annie's wrote, "It helps the feed send you out for you people. You are worth more than a few pennies." Oh, thank you very much. But as you can clearly see, we are absolutely still limited here. Benjamin's wrote, "It's embarrassing to see that I had Enki in my notes, and yet I said Enlil were laid on the table." No worries. Again, if you watch my videos, I do come with the evidence. I really do. That's the one thing that's different about me compared to all the other people. You'll see them talking. I'm sure you know who I'm on about, the Carsons and the Hancocks and the Wilcox and the Childress and all those people. They talk, and they'll say in some tablet. I name I don't show my face. They show their face. I show the evidence. They show their face, and that's the difference. That's what makes me me compared to them. I cannot do what they do. I have to show the evidence. Amy says, "Hello. Is it true? Is it true building generated free energy not that long ago?" I'm not sure what building you're particularly on about. If you're referring to, say, for example, Nikola Tesla, then he did create what they called the Wardenclyffe Tower, which could take energy. Now I did do a deep dive into this actually. Turns out you needed to put more energy in than actually comes out wirelessly, which is kind of cost effective, not great in business terms, because you have to generate the energy for his devices to be able to have the free energy. So I know people say, "Oh, he got it from the ether." No, he still had to pump energy into that device for it to be wireless. So it wasn't exactly. It wasn't what we all think it is. It isn't just stick a building in the ground and everyone's going to get free energy from the ether. It was pump energy into it, and it will go along the ether to someone's house, etc. So when you say, "Is it true buildings generate energy?" there is a possibility that churches may, because of frequency, may produce energy. Hard to say because I haven't. It's on my to-do list actually. Someone asked me on one of the other lives to look into churches, so I'm actually going to be looking into to see whether anyone's actually gone to a church. Now we do know they used to have, or certain churches or certain temples had crystals on them on the top. So unfortunately, they've obviously all been taken off. So would the device, e.g., church, still produce whatever it was that was originally designed for? I don't know, but I am going to look into it. So unfortunately, I can't answer that other than the Wardenclyffe Tower. If you look at, let's just say, buildings as in the pyramid, then yes, it does produce energy. There are obelisks, menars, however you pronounce that, around the world that do actually still produce a current coming up from the ground. There's one in up north in England that's you can go there and you can feel the energy and you can take a meter with you and it actually produces energy just because it's sitting there. So when you look at that, you can then say, well, hang on a minute, if the energy is pushing up through the ground and being converted to an energy that we can sort of measure through these stones, then would a long line of stones be like a telegraph pole or electric pylons where the energy would transfer from one stone to another, to another, to another, to another. In other words, making free energy from the ground, but traveling along lines, which is what the Karnak stones, I believe, were for originally, which is in France, huge miles long rows of these stones for no reason whatsoever, other than obviously they would, in my opinion, be used. And the same goes for Adam's calendar. There's stones that go off of that and go to another circle, and go off of that and go to another circle and go off to that. So you can see, and there were stones from Stonehenge to Woodhenge, and I personally think the Woodhenge stones were taken down. I think there was another Stonehenge there, but I think locals probably used that stone because, I mean, good God, who wouldn't? If you're building a building and you've got massive stones already there, just take your, later on in time, take your hammer and chisel and then just replace it with wood a lot easier, and you end up with stones that you can use for whatever it is that you want to use them for. But there's holes between, believe it or not, there's holes in the ground between Woodhenge and Stonehenge in the UK. And mainstream say, oh, these were just poles for something or other. No, if you look at all the other henges around the world or stone circles, they have a trowel with them going off. So I think there was stones in there that energy was being transferred from one site to another. And of course, going back to the Great Pyramids, there is energy that comes from the Great Pyramid. That's been proven. That's not a fake thing. That is actually, the energy is coming from it. And in fact, there was some, going back, 15, 20 years ago, there was some people that went, probably not that long ago, actually, probably 10 years ago, where they used some, I can't remember what the technology was, but they found a certain heat signature coming from inside the Great Pyramid, but only in a particular part that no one's ever been. So there was a lot of suggestions. Well, what the hell's in there? Why is it producing more heat than anywhere else? And so on and so on. So, but there's thousands of pyramids worldwide, and if if someone went round and measured the energy off of them, they'll still probably get energy coming off of them. So yes, you could have free energy. How much voltage, I don't know. I mean, you could, may not be enough to power, a city even, or even a town. So, but yeah, you can get energy. Oh, sorry, there was a bit more. Sorry, I didn't read the rest of it. Is it true free energy that long ago charging aircraft in the 1900s? Oh, my apologies, Amy said. Didn't scroll up far enough to read the rest of it. That long ago that charging aircraft in 1900s. I've never heard that part of it. Sorry, I went off on a tangent and it's a totally different question. I've never heard that, because that means we would have had aircrafts. Now we've got footage of the Kitty Hawk, which is where the first planes were tested by the Wilbur and whatever the other brother's name, and they had they were the first ones to create flight in terms of a winged aircraft. So we have actually got camera footage of that. So if someone else had come up with not only a plane, but a plane that is, fueled by a building, free energy, then that must really be militarized, because otherwise normal people, newspapers would have probably picked it up and would all be flying around in these aeroplanes now. So if it was military, I've never heard of it. So my gut feeling is that's a baloney story, personally, because back then, the 1900s, literally airships, yes, but not the helium balloons and stuff like that, the Zeppelins. The was it Montgomery brothers, or there was a French, the ones with the first balloons. I'm trying to remember their name. Lumiere, the Lumiere. I'm trying to remember it. Lumiere brothers or something like that. But no, so we wouldn't have had the materials. I mean, the weight of an aeroplane back then would have been humongous. Um, as I say, the test flight at Kitty Hawk was made out of wood. So yeah, I can't see it personally. It's probably another one of those made up things. J. Mello has wrote, how did Mercury form? I'm afraid that's beyond my knowledge base. I know there's different types of mercury, or I've heard there's different types of mercury, but that's I've never looked into it, so I can't answer that, I'm afraid. Sorry. Benjamin wrote, sir, if I send a 2-minute read link to information about this Genesis, would you read it and validate? Absolutely. Yeah, I'm here for you. That honestly, I am here for people. I don't make any money doing this. You can clearly see I've got limited to 30 people. I make books, but I make about 50p on a book. So I take a day off every week off work, so I lose money doing this. So I never do it for any gain other than to well, I enjoy doing it, and I hope people learn something from it. So yes, absolutely. If you want, I'll follow you back. And oh, you're not following me. There's your first problem right there, Benjamin. You forgot to hit the follow button. But you can contact me through the website if you don't want to follow me. XL Beats has wrote, was Marduk a planet too? No, because of his obsession with him being everything, and again, there's a tablet in the British Museum that tells us that, and Dr. Irvin Finkel, the head curator of the Sumerian section, or Middle East, Near East section, in British Museum, has done a lecture on it and told us that they've got tablets where Marduk changed everything to him, absolutely everything. Blade of grass, everything was him. So when you read the story from the Babylonian story, so it's not Sumerian, it's a Babylonian, the Enum Elish, you realise that Marduk freaking put his name there as the hero. Because if you read it, because at the end on tablet 7, it's basically Enlil gives him the rank of 50. So clearly he's not a planet. So even though the Enum Elish is saying Marduk went round and smashed into that's the danger there, is that's the translator. I would love to see the original version of that Enum Elish, not what someone's translated and no one else has translated it. So I'd love to see the original and see whether it really does say Marduk. But if it does, it makes a lot of sense, because he did want himself to be, the be all and end all. And of course, Marduk wasn't even born a million years ago in their time, or 4.6 million years in our time. He wasn't born. So there's no way he would have been able to come into our solar system, smash into another planet, get the orbit of stars and all that kind of stuff. But as an egotistical person, changing the name of his own home planet to Marduk and being hailed as the greatest thing since sliced bread. If you read it properly, that's what he's basically saying. Especially at the end, everyone loves him. He saved the planet. He saved the world. He saved everything. Woo! That's him, and he's got a bigger ego than me. So yes, Marduk name was used as a planet, but it was Nibiru as the planet. Again, in the same tablets, you see the word Nibiru. Someone had actually translated the word Nibiru and put Jupiter. So it's Nibiru. Melbridge wrote, "I'm here finally. Sorry I'm late. What are we on about today?" Yeah, hey y'all. We've gone through many different things, and it's just whatever people are asking. I did want to let people up, but I got sidetracked, I'm afraid. Mel's wrote, and BFF when they roar, it's so long a human couldn't replicate. Bigfoot. Yes, it was a good, very good point. Get gold star for that. I've never mentioned that. It's true. It does go on for a long time. I've never mentioned it, so get gold star for mentioning something that I've never mentioned, never even thought of mentioning. Well done. Yes, the Bigfoots. If anyone's interested, you can hear recordings of Bigfoot talking. You can hear recordings of Bigfoot, their yowls, and their blood curdling. You can imagine hearing that at night when you're out in in the forest or somewhere, and you hear this sound. It's a cross between, as you say, it's a cross between a roar, and then it sort of goes into something high pitched, and it's really hard to describe. But yeah, it wouldn't be nice to hear that. Melby's wrote, "We had 3 near our cabin. I left a note for them once. Unfortunately, it was written in cursive." You had 3 near our cabin. You was lucky. I mean, generally they don't want to touch people anymore because we've got guns, and back in the day we didn't, and they could pick us off. But it depends on how hungry they are. I mean, there's stories, as you probably well know, that they have tried opening people's doors and they've gone in barns and all sorts of stuff. I mean, you've got no hope fighting a Bigfoot unless you've got a gun, because if you look at the Dyatlov Pass incident, where the hikers, I say hikers, I think they were on an expedition, all of them died. All. So, yeah. D Boys wrote, ever stroke religion mentions waters, the splitting of the waters are creation thoughts. So the water, I'm guessing you're referring to the Bible where it's talking about the waters mingled. Yeah, so basically up in space again, we've just recently, I did a TikTok video where they found trillions and trillions of times more water than on Earth in the middle of space, just sitting there. So we know water is out there, and again, there's water vapor out there as well, let alone solid, when I say solid, solid liquid water, but there's also vapor out there. So yeah, basically, according to mainstream, they've seen, and I did do a TikTok on this where I read out their article. It basically says that they've seen another solar system where a planet's forming because of water. So if you take that into consideration, and then you look at the Enuma release where it says the waters mingled, and then you go to the Bibles, the waters mingled, and the Bible is basically talking about planets forming. It doesn't say God created. Doesn't actually say that, because first of all, it's plural. Second of all, that word created can also mean formed or preparing. So there's 3 versions you could have for that. And so when you read my book or translate it all yourself, go back to the original, you can translate it basically as planets, deities, which is gods, forming the heaven and the earth, which is exactly what it did. But this is only our solar system. Unfortunately, religious people assume that the Bible is talking about the whole universe. It's not at all. It's literally just talking about our solar system. UFOs, Annie? No, I don't want to come up. Mistake, one day I will. Yeah, yeah, we'll definitely set that up then, and maybe next time, just send a message, because I don't look down. There is a thing down the bottom. I never look at that. As you can see, I hardly read people's messages correctly, let alone look down even further. So you just need to write, "Can I come up?" and I'll or the moderator might read it and just let you up. No worries there. But yeah, I didn't. I don't look down now. I apologise. Amy C is right. I sent you a video. When you get 5 minutes to watch, I want to know. True. Yes, old buildings. Okay, I will have a look. No worries at all. Thank you, Amy. D Boys wrote, seems loads of interest in nuclear programs because of war aspect or because we're close to space travel. I'm guessing you're on about modern aliens being interested in our nukes, which they really are. I'm just going to have a quick sip of a drink. Thank you very much for being patient there. So something I heard, now whether this is true or not, but it's very interesting. I heard through a whistleblower that nukes can shatter. I think that was the word, shatter an orb, which is very interesting because an orb, you probably know, is a sentient being. Otherwise, they wouldn't be seen flying in and out of people's bodies, or or shaman wouldn't be talking about them, or mediums wouldn't be talking about them as spirits. So they're obviously intelligent in some shape or form. But if they break, because they're eternal, obviously energy doesn't die; it just dissipates. Doesn't dissipate; it just converts into something else. Apparently, I'm not an expert on plasma or energy like that, but that's apparently what they say. So, if we take that whistleblower story as fact, then would the aliens want us to stop using nukes for that reason? Yes, because according to people like Linda Moulton Howe, even Bob Lazar, we're containers for those orbs, which makes a lot of sense. And the aliens, the Greys, deal with the orbs. There's remote viewers that seen them with them. There's stories from Linda Moulton Howe, from whistleblowers, that say that aliens are nicking each other's orbs and stuff. So they're certainly dealing with them. So if we go along with that assumption, would they want us to destroy orbs? No. Would they want us to destroy the planet? If the hybridization program, which I do believe happened and is now, they've got people here on Earth now, would they want us to blow those people up? No. So there's probably a few reasons why they wouldn't want us to destroy the planet. And supposedly, and something else I heard, whether or not this is true, is that a nuke, when we set off a nuke, whether this is true, I don't know, but the explosion and the radiation, etc., actually goes out into space and continues going. I don't know whether that's true or not, but if it is, then obviously we're affecting, down the line, we're affecting other planets possibly, or spaceships, or whatever else that's doesn't like the radiation or whatever it is that causes the problem. So it's a good question. Go number 3 in the class for that. But I think it's a mixture of a few things. I think they don't want us to blow the planet up, and I think there may be something to do with the orbs. D Boys wrote, the grain sheep debate. The grain sheep debate between, is that between Enlil and Enki, or human and both? So the sheep and grain debate. You're spoiling it for me because I'm going to do a video on that. But so supposedly, according to other people and my own research, that is to do with Cain and Abel, grain being Cain, the name for Cain, which over time grain became the name Cain. So you've obviously read it. So once you realise that that's Cain and Abel and their sisters, in at least in that document text, then you go to the Moorhens, where it basically says that Cain and Abel were dealing with the sheep and the grain, and of course the Bible as well. Yeah, literally the Moorhens. So I'll be doing a video on this, but I'll be pointing out that the Moorhens translations say that one of them, I can't remember off the top of my head, got more favoritism because of the amount of whatever it was that they were doing. I can't remember whether it was the sheep or the grain side. I can't remember off the top of my head. But yeah, so it was to do with Enlil, really, not necessarily Enki. It was to do with Enlil. And then the aftermath really was because of Ninurta was looking after one of them. Ninurta was looking after, hang on. Ninurta was in charge of Ninurta was in charge of Cain. No, Abel. Ninurta, I think Ninurta was in charge of. I'll do the video on it, but I think that Ninurta was in charge of. I can't remember. I'm sorry, and Marduk was in charge of the other one. So when they had a fight, it was kind of like between, even though it wasn't, it was kind of like between Marduk and Ninurta. So yeah, I'll do a video. It's the next one I'm doing. So if you just hold on, there'll be a video. That's literally the next one that I'm doing. D Boys wrote, were the gods teaching us to watch stars, or were they? And if so, why wouldn't they have had more tech to help? So it's a good question, actually. Go number 2 in the class. So it comes out to 2 different parts of this. One is Clark's. One is when the dates were. So right at the start, when the Ajiji came down and stole human women and had kids with them, they started to teach them stuff, and the Anunnaki didn't like that. The older gods didn't like that, so they had even more arguments with the Ajiji over that. So eventually the Ajiji stopped teaching celestial, God sort of stuff that humans shouldn't know anything about. So that was that. But roll on. So that we're talking. Hello, Clark. We're talking 260,000 years ago. Roll on 10,000 years ago.
What are we doing tomorrow?
You've got to go Mencap.
No.
I'll talk to you later. I'm talking to people.
We'll go out shopping.
We'll talk later, okay?
Oh, thank you, darling.
You're welcome. So yeah, roll on 10,000 after the Great Flood, when they started to teach us and they broke us up into territories. We have things like I'm not going to be able to remember the name of it, but there's a ridiculously stupid place to put it. There's a celestial calendar on the top of on the ceiling of a building in Egypt. I'm trying to remember. I did do a video on it, and my argument is, why the hell, why not carve that on a stone out the front? So if you're looking up, you can see it. You look at the stone on the ground or whatever. See the celestial pattern, which is basically our solar system, and then work out where we are with because I think it also has not only our solar system, but it has the constellations. That was it. And so it's inside a building. You have to go upstairs, top floor of a building. I think it was. I can't remember. Sorry, I'm tired now. But I have done a video on it. But you think, well, why? What human would go in there and say, okay, now I'm going to walk back out and hope that I remember what positions were of those stars? It's ridiculous. But yeah, so in other words, that's one of the oldest known star maps, which is designed for humans to look at. Otherwise, they wouldn't be in a building like this, or because the Anunnaki obviously clearly knew their star signs, and they wouldn't need to put it on a ceiling of a building. They could have done it on devices, or on this inside their spaceship or inside a computer or whatever it is that they had, they could have done. So yes, they did start teaching us about the solar system and constellations. So we know that because as time went on, they named the constellations, and then we had to worship the deities, or not deities, the Anunnaki gods, the Dingir. We had to worship them now, not only as whoever they were. So Marduk, for example, was, I think he was the ram, and Enlil was the bull, or vice versa. So we had to then worship them as the constellation, as opposed to just them being who they were, and with their own other attributes. So, Enki was a god of water, so then he ended up having his, I can't remember off the top of my head, he ended up having a constellation. So yes, they did teach us, but they weren't teaching us everything. I mean, we've even got the Ankatitha, however you pronounce that, mechanism, which basically had our solar system, and so I think there was constellations on it as well, if I'm not mistaken. I think they did find that there was extra constellations. About a year ago, they said, "Wow, this is deeper than we thought," because they thought it was only our planets in our solar system that you turned this handle on this device that was found in a shipwreck off Greece, and they thought it was just for our solar system. But about a year ago, they come to the conclusion that no, it actually shows the constellations as well, which is phenomenal technology. So certain people was given the technology or understanding of the movements of the sky, but they certainly weren't going to teach us how to build spacecraft or anything like that, because we're dangerous. D Boys wrote, appropriate than stone than weigh so much. Tech would, yeah, yeah, yeah. So that's carrying on from your message before. Yeah, I mean, that's the whole point of why they didn't do it in smaller stones or something like that. And then you wrote, or maybe the giants were watching for them to come back. Well, and then you wrote the demigods. Well, the giants were twofold, really. One is any Anunnaki, Ijiji, they were giants. And then you had the sons of the Anunnaki, which would have been demigods, which were also giants. So the Nephilim actually means both. I've done an amazing documentary, World's Best, only person to solve it. That in the Bible, when it's talking about the Ajiji coming down, and then Nephilim, it's actually talking about the Ajiji still, the sons of God. People assumed, and I did as well. I did, hands up. I thought that it was talking about the Ajiji coming down, or the sons of God coming down, stealing women, and then having giants. But no, it's actually talking about them, because the men of old, the men of renowned, were the heroes that were the Ajiji. We're talking 300,000, 400,000 years difference between. No, sorry, we're talking men of. So it depends on when that was written, but if we assume that it was written after the Great Flood, you're looking at 230,000 years when they're saying the men of old, the men of renowned. That's how far back those Ajiji would have been. So yeah, feel free to look at that documentary. I'm so proud of that. That Benjamin's right. I can send the link to the Genesis information here in the chat if you'd like to read it now. Not a request. Unfortunately, yeah, no, that's very nice of you. There's still people's messages, so I'd like to sort of digest it as well, if you wouldn't mind. So if that's okay, feel free to contact me in the back. 11:11.
So I'll have a look at it.
Happens when we expire on Earth. We're connected. Our software, our hardware body dies. Our software, our brain, our bits and bytes are stored in this orb that joined with us in our to the pineal gland when we was in the mother's womb. It leaves our body. We can control the orb for a period of time. We can fly forwards and backwards in time. We can talk to clairvoyants, push things off windows, push glass off, all that kind of stuff. But at some point, the orb takes control and goes back round, and you are just a memory. in that orb now, just like a file on a hard drive. Take the hard drive to another computer, open that up on a new computer. Nothing whatsoever to do with the previous computer, but you can now access the files. That's all it seems to be. I've got a 3-hour documentary called Everything You Need to Know About Spirits, if you're interested, on my website. D-Boys wrote, why would Anu let them fight or use weapons of terror on each other, especially after past on Nibiru? It's a fair question. I mean, it was all to do with Marduk, really, causing problems. So he was sending his people in to attack other people. And the gods didn't like that, as well as him trying to build the Sky Tower, which Tower of Babel. And so Inanna was, and of course he somehow, if you believe it or not, he seemed to have got Dumuzi killed, which was her love. So there was a lot of gunning for Marduk. And so I don't think they told King Anu what was going on, because when King Anu did come down, he pardoned Marduk. He didn't know about it, so they didn't tell King Anu. Otherwise, he would have probably not allowed it and wouldn't have had been told what had happened. So yeah, so I imagine they didn't tell him at all. That's a good point. 1111 is right. What's your opinion on what I read that one? Sometimes people write twice. D-Boys wrote, no thanks, I've read it and all the others over and over. And I'm sure you have, yeah. D-Boys wrote, the waters are mentioned in most common myth. They are indeed. Even in the old, the sea turtle going along is in the sea waters. XL Beats has wrote, were the Adamu the Africans? Yes. So the very first Homo sapien that was created, which would have been Adamu, was put to work over in Africa, the Abzu, which is Africa. You got sort of lower Africa as well, but so yes, they are the Africans. So when we say, who would have been the first Homo sapiens on Earth, it would have been the darker skinned people, because we can kind of see that they were dark skinned. And again, this is coming from Neanderthal with some essence of the Anunnaki. So if Neanderthal was dark skinned, makes sense that that the Adamu would have been dark skinned as well, but without the hair. They do describe it without hair, etc., which they was obviously, by saying it's not got hair, it means that they was expecting it to have hair. And if you believe the Moorhen translations, when they're talking about the Neanderthal, they say that it's hairy. So it makes sense that Neanderthal was hairy and we ended up with less hair because of the union between the Anunnaki DNA and Neanderthal. D-Boys wrote, what was Eridu Gilgamesh's friend animal hybrid? Thank you, the Earth Lover. You're referring to Enkidu. There's a couple of translations of that, which I have pointed out there's contradictions in them. There's a few contradictions in that, in the Epic of Gilgamesh, depending on who you translate. So I am actually, I've done one video already where I go through the Epic of Gilgamesh. I haven't finished it, it is on my to-do list. But as you read through, I point out the differences between one translation from someone and another translation from a different person. So there is actually discrepancies between the different translators of the same story, which is very interesting, because some, I believe, some of the parts on one is correct and some of the parts on another is correct, but not all of them are correct in the whole as a whole. But that's just my opinion. But yeah, Enkidu was. So it depends on which story you want to go with. One is that he was created by Nimna, or Ninharsag, Mother Goddess, who took blood from Gilgamesh, to create a companion for him on his long journey. The other version is that the mother goddess created Enkidu and just left him out in the wild, which seems really stupid. So I think, personally, when I was reading the tablets over and over, I think there's a section which they've someone's read in wrong order. So where Enkidu's out with the wildebeest, etc., and a female goes there, it's not quite the way it should be. I think Enkidu actually had a girlfriend. I don't think that's. I think they got that quite wrong. I think Enkidu had a girlfriend because there's no point in creating a new creature and just leaving him out with the wildebeest. What was the point of that? Doesn't make sense. So I think he had, but I think the tablet, that particular part of the tablet, is round the wrong way. So I think Enkidu had a girlfriend, and so the story is slightly messed up. And again, you've got to remember that this story was probably written, 50 to 100 years after Gilgamesh had died. So I think that's. I think I would go with the created as a companion for him, because the chances that the other version, where it's Enkidu is found by a man, sees Enkidu by the waist. This is one version of it. This is ridiculous. A human sees Enkidu out in the wild, so Enkidu's got these horns. He's not a minotaur or anything like that. It's just a huge character that's got horns and different features slightly than a human. And this man, goes back to the village, gets the local whore. I don't know her, sorry. Gets the local whore, brings her back, tells her to sleep with this huge 16-foot beast for no reason whatsoever. So she sleeps with him. Yeah, okay, I'll do it. Sleeps with him, and then he's chatting to her. So this wildebeest, or this Enkidu, has now got language in English, or in their language. So not only it just doesn't make sense, because he would have had to have had knowledge of speech to be able to chat to her. Anyway, she turns around, so that's why it's wrong. That version is got to be. I think that's why that tablet was later on, and should have been about him and a girlfriend, maybe. But anyway, Enkidu gets told by this girl, "Oh, there's a king, and he's huge, and he's massive, and he's wonderful, and he's amazing with swords, and he's a great fighter." And Enkidu says, "Oh, who's that?" And she says, "Gilgamesh." And he says, "Right, I've never heard this person before. I'll go and fight him, challenge him to a fight. I will win." So that's that version. It carries on, but that doesn't make sense. So yes, my version that I'm doing on, you can get to it from my website. My version is probably the more accurate version. Sometimes you have to use a bit of logic and realize that when things are written, it's not always 100%. You can't take them as 100%, and you also can't take the translators as well. Always at 100%. The Earth Lovers wrote no. I'm not sure what that was referring to. History and Coins wrote of them sending people to another time. I don't know what that's referring to.
That was talking about people putting links in the chat, so.
Oh, right. Okay. Thank you for that. History and Coins. I mean, it's bad enough that TikTok limits me to 30, which is 100%. I mean, that's the chances that only 30 people out of 300,000 want to come and listen to me for more than a minute is. Anyway, Benjamin's wrote, if he's streaming on a PC, you can have multiple tabs. I won't argue on it. I'm on the phone. Sorry, I sit in my front room with just my boxers on and a pillow over my feet. Benjamin's right. Okay. Thank you, Kerry. Kerry's pointing out I'm on my phone as well. Yeah, that's how I roll. Benjamin's right. Oh, I have information about the Cain and Abel story as well. Interesting. Yeah. Okay, I'd be interested to hear that. Time check 9 p.m. Okay, thank you, Kerry. That's good. Thank you, guys, and James as well. Give me 9 p.m. So I'm not too far behind. I'm catching up now. There's people chatting to each other, so I'm nearly at the end. People chatting to each other. History and Coins wrote tap tap. Yeah, it didn't get us any past 30, no matter what we did. I will send them another message. XL Beats wrote the Nephilim were also the Ajiji. Yeah, any giant basically. That's what they were. So to be fair with you, if you watch my documentary, you'll see that the logic suggests that the Nephilim was mentioned because of the Ajiji. That's not to say that the Anunnaki wouldn't be Ajiji, but when you go through my video, you see that the Ajiji lived with humans, whereas the Anunnaki didn't. So when, for example, in the Bible, a spy goes over to sea and sees these giants, what they're actually seeing is not the sons of the Ajijian people, but they're actually seeing the Ajiji. Not necessarily the Anunnaki, because they didn't generally live with humans, whereas the Ajiji did. So yes, the Nephilim really, but basically means anyone giant. But as a whole, the people that saw the giants were really only seeing either the sons of the gods, which were demigods, or Ajiji mostly. So that's how you can break it down quite easily. I have got the video going through all of that if you're interested. Nicole's right. Would Inanna still be alive today? If so, would she still be here? Yes, she would be. Good question. She would be alive today. She was born here on Earth. So if we look at the lifespan, etc., then she would be, I don't know, I haven't done, just off the top of my head, 40 of her years, maybe a little bit older. So yeah, not very old at all in the big scheme of things. So she should still be alive. She, there's haven't done 100% deep dive into it, but there's stories that she is the Statue of Liberty. But yeah, she would be alive, and there's no reason for her to go back to Nibiru. She was born here on Earth, so there's no benefit in her going to Nibiru for any reason. She's quite high up here on Earth. She would probably be quite far down on Nibiru because she's a female. So she would, if Ninurta had children, then they'll come first, and she'll Utu would come before her as well, her twin brother. So all in all, she's got the luxury here of being important, shall we say. So I can't see any reason why she would go back to Nibiru. Not that she's ever been there. I mean, she may have gone there once or twice, but not to stay. I can't say whether she did or not, but there's no point in her going. Benjamin's wrote, our true history. To clarify, I have sent the information about Genesis and Cain and Abel to your co-host that I would like you to review. No worries at all. Thank you very much. I value your input now. Thank you very much. I've come to the end. So, unless there's any more questions, I will probably go and watch episode 2 of the new Stranger Things. I watched episode 1 last night. I will probably watch that and have some hot chocolate. WD's wrote, what's going on here? We've been limited to 30 people all the way along. So I will send TikTok another message. They're not replying to my other one now, so it's been 20 odd days. They're not replying to it, and I keep reposting things on it. It says that the case is ongoing or open or in progress. They're not going to reply. I even wrote on one of the times, I said, my followers have told me that you're deliberately not reading this so that you hope I go away and just but I said, you wouldn't do that, would you, TikTok? You would actually read this and deal with it. But clearly they're ignoring it. So I'm going to set up a new dispute and just basically keep setting up loads of disputes until they think, oh, fucking hell, let's just let him have his TikTok back. Because 30, when you get to 30, I mean, what did we get to? 40 earlier for 5 minutes, if that, and then it drops back down to 30. When I've got 300,000 followers, that will probably, more than 30, and it's always, the same amount. It's 15, then it goes to 30, then 50. But today we've not been allowed to go to 50, so very frustrating. WD's right. Why did I lose my mod badge? I don't know. I'll need to look into that. I don't know how you do that. I don't know. Only followers can be added as moderator. Are you still following me? You are. Well, I'll look into that. History and contract, please take it private. WD, I have a dispute internally. Nicole has wrote, thank you for the live outreach, always interesting. W's, I was here when it was in the thousands. Years ago, wasn't it? Yeah. But that's all gone. I mean, look, we can't get past 30 really. If we do, it's for a minute, if that. WD's right. I've been here for years. Yeah. No, I know. Darwin's wrote, thank you, Outro History and the mods for your time. Yeah, remind me in the background if you would, WD. So Benjamin's right. I wonder how you will present your review of the information I passed on. I will have a look at it. Yeah, I will. I do get a lot of people sending me stuff, as you can imagine, because I don't just, what you've just heard here is a minuscule amount of what I research. I've researched the crystal skulls, the Maui statues, and every day I'm learning something new. But people do send me stuff. There's people out there that send me, giant petrified trees and all sorts of videos. So yeah, I do look at them. Darwin's wrote great live. Oh, thank you, Darwin. It's nice. It's it's nice when I do get a difference of opinion, because it gives me a chance to explain stuff that I wouldn't normally, because most people just ask, are they gods, all that kind of stuff. But like with Benjamin, he's bringing up the Yellow Book and stuff which you may not have heard of, so it's good. That's why I don't, I wouldn't block someone because they have a difference of opinion. I use it because I think it's good that I can then talk about stuff that normally I don't get a chance to talk about. So that's probably what made it good. So Benjamin should be thanked for that, in a roundabout sort of way. And I really appreciate Benjamin sticking with us and not getting upset or anything. So that's great. And again, I apologise if I upset anyone. I probably have, but Benjamin's right. Basically, I'm wondering if you will make a video or if I need to stalk your lives moving forward. Oh, right. Okay. You weren't wondering how I would let you know. Well, if you've sent it to me, you still don't follow me. So
He sent it to me first, sir, for me to look at it and then pass it on to you if I thought it was worth it, because it's on another chat thing and you will get banned if he sends it. So I went around it the other way to be careful.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, Benjamin, I would reply to you, but if you don't follow me, then if I send a message, you both have to sort of follow each other in order for me to be able to send you a message. But it depends on what's on the video, really, as to whether I do a video or not. I do a hell of a lot of debunking videos. You'll if you go to my website, you'll see, like a 3-hour video of me debunking people. And it's a minute long, so you can see how many people I debunk. This is 3 hours worth of minute long people, so everyone I debunk. So it depends on whether they're making up crap, and if they are making up crap, and I've got the evidence to prove it, then I probably will do a video on it, because I don't like people making up crap, as you probably guessed. So if that's the case, then I will do a video pointing out where their errors are. If it's stuff that I've heard, then if it's just a sort of a reply saying, yes, I do think this is correct, and I don't need to make a video, then ideally I'd like to just be able to send you a message and say, but you'd need to follow me for me able to do that. So it depends on what's on the video, really, as to whether or not it's worthy. Darwin's wrote, so interesting every time. Oh, thank you, Darwin. Oh, thank you. Kerry's wrote, are you following the host? That was to Benjamin. He wasn't. He is now. Yay. He, oh, I've clicked and it says follow back. No, you requested. You've got a private account, so I still can't send you a message unless you approve me. Benjamin's right. I followed his works, but I do not follow him. I will do that. Oh, right. Okay. Cool. Benjamin's right. I follow you now. Brilliant. Well done. And Benjamin's right. You can now. Brilliant. Okay. So I think we've caught up again. We didn't get past the 30 mark really today. I apologise for that, even though it's not my fault. But I don't know what the best option is, because it's nice to have new people come on, like Benjamin today. We've now got someone here that's an interesting person. So it's a shame, because although we do get the odd religious person and odd numpty, when we have a lot more people, we also get people that have got different views and stuff. And I do enjoy, I kind of want to let people up as well, which I should have done today. In fact, I even said it to let people up, but once Benjamin came on, my mind was obviously transfixed, which is what makes me a great researcher, but also probably, there's probably a downside to it, I'm sure. WD's right. I messaged you a week ago. So, oh right. Let me see what I can do. Hang on.
So I need to talk to you about that before you go and do anything. I heard
Okay.
something about it on Discord, so can I talk to you in the background
Yeah,
before
sure.
you go
Yeah.
doing too much, please?
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. So, okay. And Jane's wrote "Night God." That's me. Thank you, Jane. Just to let everyone know that when me and Jane were together one time, she said, "Oh, for God's sake, go away." And so she's. I'm joking, but she calls me God for some strange reason, probably because I keep saying I'm God, and now she's decided, oh, for crying out loud, let's humour the poor sod. Thank you, Jane. But Jane is a goddess; she's lovely and wonderful. Benjamin's wrote, now that we can follow each other, I might as well just send you the information as well. I'll wait for history and coins, because tomorrow I've got to work on the firmament video for someone, and then I've got to start on the Cain and Abel one as well. I'm also working on another book as well. Another two books technically: the Bible rewritten and the Solved book, which I'm doing a book on all the things that I believe I've solved, so which is already done. So I'm just taking the transcripts of my videos and converting them to a book and just tidying it up a bit. So that's not going to take too long. So cool. WD's right. I think the other mods have concluded to in mod me. I'm not saying names. Okay, well, I'll if if you don't mind, I'll get both sides and then see what we can sort out. Hopefully, we can come to something good. Benjamin's wrote, one of the links is the story about Cain and Abel, which fits in well. Then, yeah. So if history and coins lets me know, I won't finish the video until I've heard from Cain Cain and Abel from history and coins.
That'd be interesting, sir, if you can hear from Cain and Abel.
Yeah, yeah. Especially if they're a couple of sisters. How you doing?
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm not a pervert, honest. Or at least I'm not being called a pervert. I'm joking. Okay, so on that bombshell, we didn't get past 30, but thank you to everyone that's joined tonight. Thank you to the moderators as well. I'm sure you had some work cut out earlier on. WD2's wrote, I am too, laugh at that. You're a pervert. So perverts need love, don't we? Benjamin's wrote, Cain and Abel, right? Yeah, but if you go with the as D Boy said, if you go with the sheep and grain tablet, then it's actually Grain. Her name was Grain. So they were probably female, possibly female, according to that tablet. So quite, yeah. So I'll be looking into it, and I'll look at what History and Coins, if you wouldn't mind. Let me know what's on that as well. What you've got, that'd be interesting. Thank you very much. Okay, so if you've never listened to me before, thank you for sticking with me. Please visit my website or just watch my videos. But the TikTok videos are different compared to the long documentaries that I have on my website. It's totally different feel to them and everything else. So I would strongly suggest just watch one of my documentaries on my website, whether it's time travel, whether it's Bigfoot, whether it's crystal skull, whatever. Thousands of different subjects and videos. Just watch one, pick one, watch it, and then decide whether or not you think, well, thank you for posting up my website address there, History and Coins, and then watch the rest. And I'm continuously creating new content, as you probably can guess. Every single week I put something new up. So longer things, whereas the TikTok videos are just a minute thing that I do. Yeah. So WD's wrote, great live as usual. Sorry about the politics. I won't give up. Oh no, bless you. Yeah, I'll try and sort whatever the problem is out. And thank you to everyone that asked brilliant questions. You know who you are. And thank you to the moderators, and thank you to Kerry for getting a gold star. Thank you for History and Coins for jumping in and helping me out as well. Got a gold star for that as well. So great live, and I will. I might put this on YouTube because it's got some information that most that I haven't really mentioned before. So hopefully that might help some people learn stuff. And we've got a new friend, Benjamin, and Benjamin's wrote, your Anunnaki in the Bible video is brilliant. It's one of my first research points. It blew my lid wide open regarding the spiritual awakening. Thank you. Yes. Yeah. That was very nice of you to say. Thank you, Benjamin. Yeah. So you can see that I've been doing this for a while. And it's very nice of you to say that I don't get much feedback on my videos, which is a real shame because, you do these things, you research, and for me, I feel proud and I put it out there, and YouTube limits me, Instagram kind of limits me. It certainly limits me on my lives. 15 people, and we don't get past that anymore. Well, we never did 15 from the first time I did it. YouTube's just as bad. So it's nice when I read a comment that says your Anunnaki and Bible video is brilliant. It's one of my first research points. Oh, thank you. Feel free to knock yourself out on the rest. Like I say, there's always more content coming. Lucifer, I can guarantee you. I know it sounds, I'm not being big-headed, but I can guarantee you, I am 100% right on who Lucifer was. He's the weakener of nations. He's the son of, I can't say who he is, but he's the son of the morning star. He did all the things. He literally destroyed nations. It was the right time frame. His sister was also the daughter of the son of the morning, the morning star. The list just goes on and on and on. He didn't even have a burial. This person, I can't say who he is, but he didn't have a burial because he, just as Lucifer didn't, because he was outcast, because he, was basically brought down. It's all there. So literally, Christmas Eve, if anyone's interested, you will find out the name of Lucifer, who he was for real, 100%, which hasn't been done for probably thousands of years. So, I'm very proud of that research. Very, very proud. No one can say any different. And the thing is, when mainstream, you'll see in the video, mainstream quote 3 different people who they think they are. And I destroy their arguments easily with evidence. So they totally, like, for example, I won't bore you, but it's on the video. But yeah, so this really, really good video. I'm really proud of that one. Thank you, History and Cause. I read that. And WD's right. I'm RH ancestor, sir. So I'm guessing you've got RH negative blood as well. I don't have it. Yeah, I mean, I don't know if you've seen my video on how we got the RH negative, but I think they deliberately gave it to us, and obviously it skips a generation and so on. Hugh of Violet is right. People are too wimpy for the truth. Yeah, that's a good way of putting it. I, I've done tests before on TikTok where I've just made up a load of crap and didn't show any evidence for anything. And then right at the bottom right hand corner, for the last second, I wrote, "This is a joke," just so that people don't think that I was being serious. But obviously, it was tiny, and I normally point that out and say that I was joking. That's why. But those videos where I make up crap with no evidence get shared and liked far, far, far more than anything where I say, "Look at this! I've just solved this. This is why X, Y, Z. Here's the evidence." People get bored by it, or as you say, are too wimpy for it, and they'd rather have stuff that they can't, that's sort of out there, but without the evidence. So that because if they get the evidence, it means it's true. I guess. Darwin's wrote Outer History, The City on the Edge of Forever, Joan Collins. I'm guessing you're referring to Star Trek, the episode with Joan Collins where Captain Kirk and I think it's only Spock goes back in time and meets Joan Collins, which was a good episode. I haven't watched that one for ages. If that's the same one, I can't remember the title of it. Forgive me. I'm slightly more better on the next gen titles than I am of, but it does sound like it's that episode. If I'm wrong, tell me off. Slap me in the face with a wet kipper. History and Coins wrote, "That's my birthday."
Christmas Eve, sir.
Oh, is it? Oh, well. I don't know if you're a Patreon user, but if you want me to send it to you on Christmas Eve, let me know, and I will happily do that via email. If you're interested in finding out who Lucifer was.
I am
Oh, right.
a patron. So.
Oh, are you? Okay, cool. Thank you, brilliant. Thank you very much. Yeah, so that'll be out. It's all done. It's up there. It's sometimes I have to do the video after I've told people that it's coming out, but this one's now done and dusted. It's all sitting there ready. Kerry's wrote, "Is Clark ready for Christmas?" Oh, bless. Thank you very much for asking about Clark. So Clark's got special needs. He knows what Christmas is. He understands that we'll probably go to family and he might get presents. Time-wise, he doesn't understand time. So if he did something yesterday, he'll say, "Oh, I'm paraphrasing here. I'm just saying this for sake of an argument. Oh, I had pizza last year." "No, Clark, you had it yesterday." "Yeah, yesterday." So he doesn't understand days. So when we say Christmas is coming, to him it's like whenever. He doesn't sort of understand that it's how far away. He knows months. He's quite good with time and months. He knows. He tells the time better than my daughter. So he'll look at the clock and he'll go, "Oh, it's nearly 10," and he'll say, "Oh, it's nearly December now." So he's quite good like that, but he has no concept of, other than 10 o'clock being his bedtime. He has no concept of December the 25th, for example, being Christmas Day, unless someone drums it into him over and over every day, or an advent calendar or something like that. But yeah, is he looking forward to Christmas? The problem is you probably know he doesn't. We've bought him billions of toys and stuff, but he plays on his tablet. He watches YouTube on TV. That's what he does. We've tried everything. Even he goes to MenCap during the day. They try and get him off his phone. They try and get him off the computer. I've got an app that can turn his phone off for a period of time, for a couple of hours while he's there, just to stop him from using his phone. So for Christmas, um, I'm probably just going to buy him t-shirt. He likes t-shirts with pictures on because he likes it when people see a new t-shirt that he's wearing and it's got like, I don't know, Simpsons or whatever on it. He likes that because people comment on his t-shirt. That's the only other thing that he likes. So is he ready for Christmas? Not really. He'll come and he'll moan about going to families' houses. He likes opening presents, but he doesn't. He'll just play on his bloody phone or tablet or whatever. So yeah, it's a tricky one, Clark. It's a shame. I've tried him with the VR headset. I've tried him, going out and walking and crazy golf and all sorts of things. But he does it. But in the morning, it's I don't want to do it. I don't want to do it, and he'll do it when he'll enjoy it when he does it. And then when he comes home, it's like, do you want to do it again tomorrow? No. He's a very homely child. He just likes to be at home and do his thing. I suppose we all do, really. Darwin's wrote, yes, that's the one. The episode, yes. Yeah. How Kirk managed to he gets off with everyone, doesn't he, old Kirk? The Earth Lovers wrote, sounds like cosmic time. What we Clark? Yeah. Smiles has wrote Time Traveller. I'm not sure where that's going on. That one's probably my bad. Kerry's wrote, he's such a joy. If I could mail him a chocolate cake, I would. Ah, and he would eat it. Bless. Thank you, Kerry. No, it's okay. That's lovely. Nice of you to say. Well, you've heard him. He calls me darling and stuff, especially when he wants something. But at night when I needed to go to bed, it's like, no, I don't want to go to bed. But yeah, he's a good kid, really. History and quiz, outro history. I have to go. I'll message you. I have a vet appointment for my female dog. Oh, I hope she's okay.
She's cut her paw pad off.
Oh,
that happened.
That happened
only
a year
a
ago.
couple of days ago, but I didn't know that she'd hurt it that bad until this morning, so I had to ring the vet.
Oh, because one of the dogs had something wrong with their paw about a year ago as well.
Yeah, Sarge, the big boy. Now it's a girl.
Oh, we'll look after them. Yeah, I mean, you need them as well for yourself.
I'll message you about the other thing as well while I'm sitting there waiting to see the vet. So
no worries at all. All right. Well, fingers crossed everything's good for your dog. I love dogs. Couldn't eat a whole one, but I do love them. There we go. Once it's gone past 9, my stupid jokes come out. That reminds me, I was. It's not my own joke. That reminds me when I was trying to impress a girl once many years ago when I was younger. I don't think I impressed her because I put my foot down, and she's like, "I'm not impressed," because she'd seen bin lids open like that before. I like it. I totally destroyed it. I heard it on some comedian on TikTok. Darwin's wrote, he's a proper Romeo. I was born too late. Darwin, I've been watching him fairly recently, as you know, and I think Kirk, the character Kirk, and I don't not Shatner, but Kirk is a little predatory. From some of the episodes that I was watching, I was thinking, oh, that's a bit overstepping the mark, especially nowadays. So I guess women might like that, but I looking at it now, thinking, wow, he's just sort of gone in without even, I don't know, maybe I'm reading too much into it. Benjamin's wrote, sometimes when I give information from the classified files in the comments, TikTok end up instantly removing my comment for terms of service breach, which is interesting. Yeah, I mean, they do limit. I mean, you can clearly see we're still on 30. We won't get past 30. So you can clearly see they do limit. So yes, we've had people write things before and they get deleted, whatever stuff they've written, and they think that I've not read it out, but it gets deleted. So yeah, I guess you just have to be careful on what you write, really. WD's wrote History and Coins is living in the future. Not sure what that means. Oh, and then History and Coins right there are my assistant's dogs. WD's wrote anyone Mike Oxylong. I don't know what that means. Sorry. I don't know what that means. Sorry. Then you wrote anyone know Mike Oxylong. I don't know who that is. I don't know if that's a joke or I apologise. I butchered it if it was. Kerry's wrote, guess I'll be sending Clark some cool t-shirts. Oh no, Kerry, no, you don't have to. Oh, that's really nice of you to say. Oh, bless you. I thought it was, yeah. Benjamin's asked a joke back to WD. Everyone's going for the jokes now. Yeah, I know which one that was. Yeah, I've realised. Okay, so on that note, I will let everyone go. I'm probably going to miss my 1 hour episode of Stranger Things, episode 2, that I need to watch. But thank you very much. I'll let everyone go. Benjamin's right. By the way, our history on your page section about me is empty. I have changed my website, so you should only see 3 pages: homepage, video page, and links page. So the about me I've got rid of. I can put one back in. So if you're seeing it, it's from the old version of the website, which I'm trying to update the new one. So yeah. So yeah, thank you for letting me know. I might update that then, because otherwise people might not know who I am. I guess not that it makes much difference, because I get limited by everyone anyway. But thank you. Benjamin's empty. There's no information there. Okay, thank you. I will have a look into that. Benjamin's right. I think you should do that because people find it generally more trustworthy than you put yourself out. Okay, yeah. All right. I'll try and do that tomorrow as well. Thank you. Yeah, I did have an about me page, but maybe that's died. I actually had AI trying to help me with the website, which is why I ended up having a new website, because it freaking steered me wrong and screwed my website up. So anyway, thank you very much, guys, and I will let you all go and do something more important. Thank you again, moderators. Thank you to everyone that's joined, and I will say goodnight. Oh, right, yeah, that was a few weeks ago. Okay, yeah, it's changed now. I've not got the about me, but I will add it. Thank you for your input. I will add that. Yeah, makes sense. Okay, all right. So again, I will say goodbye, and thank you very much to everyone that took the time to come and join in. We'll do next time. We'll just let everyone up. I think that's what we need to do. I was going to do that tonight, but anyway. Okay, I will talk to you all later. Thank you, guys. Bye. Oh, thank you, Grumpy Jack. I didn't even know you was here. You kept that quiet. But thank you for the fire as well. That's nice. I like it when I see names that I've not sort of seen all night, and that's nice. Thank you. All right, on that bombshell, I will go. Good night, everyone. Okay, right. I better press end, otherwise I'll be still here. Thank you, guys. Take care, everyone. Bye.